Welcome to the Board of Park Commissioners meeting of Wednesday, August 1st. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Roll call, Commissioners.
Bob Tavares. Here.
Victor Farias.
Joe Schulenberg.
Audrey Hipkin.
Ellen Rigo.
Jeffrey Sawyer. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made second. Any
State the
discussion?
dates, please, Dave. Jeff, can you please state the dates, because that would be a violation if we don't state the dates.
Date of the last meeting was Wednesday, July 11th, 2018.
And
Make
the
a
previous meeting as well is on there.
Previous meeting's not here too.
Because the last time we did this, we didn't state the date, so we need to make the correction at this meeting to accept both the 6th, the June meeting, I believe it was June, it says on the agenda. It's the minutes from the 6th meeting and the minutes from the July 11th meeting.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from June 6th and July 11th.
Motion made second. Second.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Citizen input. No one has signed up. We'll move on. Next item on the agenda is Street Tree Planting Committee. Is anybody here from that committee? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda is new business. Update from Chris Gallagher on projects.
Good evening, folks. Sorry about the AC. Just got on the phone with them, and we should have AC probably within a half an hour, 40 minutes. It'll take a little while for it to come up to temperature, but hopefully we'll be getting it shortly. I had sent a while back on June 6th a little bit of an update of park projects and stuff like that. I don't know if everybody's got their original agenda. If you want to go, if we can go by that.
We have the list.
Yeah, some of them look like they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It's all in their
It's
packet.
in there.
So the splash pad at Shoe Park, pretty much complete. I have a book here that will be going to Nancy at Parks after she goes through it and takes a look at it, make sure everything's in here. This is all the warranties, parts, USB, for plans, specifications, warranties, product information, everything that should possibly need to repair, maintain, take care of the park for the splash pads. These are the types of books that I will be giving the park and any other department that I do work for that has any type of equipment that needs to be warranted, maintained, or anything. They'll be getting these types of books so that they can put in for their files, and they'll know exactly where to go when they need parts to find the catalogs. They'll have them.
So you said it's complete, almost completed. So what's the almost part? What needs to be?
Well, we have a choice of whether we want to paint it or not. We've talked about letting the neighborhood groups to see if they wanted to paint it and see if they wanted to put a design. You get up to 3 colors. With that being said, what do we do when it starts to chip, it starts to fade, it starts to any of that sort of things? It could start to look a little shabby. You'd have to sandblast it, then you'd have to repaint it. It's very expensive to paint. If we don't paint it, we can just seal it, and I mean, they look pretty good now. I don't know if anybody's seen the one at Shoe Park yet. It's got benches around it. It's got the cobblestones in between the benches, walkway getting to it, place for ADA. It's got a little touchpad that the kids touch on, and the kids can run around, and it runs. We could set the times on it for how long we want it to run, and the times on when we want it to turn on and shut off. So I think we have it for 10 to 6 right now. So 10 in the morning till 6 at night it runs. And then it shuts off. So they could go over there, touch the pad at 10 of 10, It's not gonna go on until 10 o'clock. When the clock hits 10, it's operational.
So now this said in June 6th, Chris, it said something about, let's see, needs painting, concrete needs to cure up to 60 days. So it's not been painted yet, right?
No, it's not, and that's why I'm saying we have the option. It was part of our deal that we would paint it, but we've started looking at it with the contractors now, and the painting company, and there's a lot more prep and a lot more things, and they kind of said that you might be frowned upon if you were going to do anything. You might have wanted to stain the concrete or add the dye to the concrete if you wanted it to have a color. They could paint it, they warranty it for a year, but then after that, we own it and we have to maintain it. So after that, we could have to blast it, we would have to repaint it, where we could seal it. I mean, it looks a pretty nice product now. Actually came out better than what we thought, and that's why we all thought, paint at the beginning. But we can do whatever that the board would like and what you would like to do.
So right now, it's just a concrete finish?
Right now, it's a concrete finish. It looks nice. Like I said, we would seal it just so that it would protect it longer. But it's a real nice finish to it now. Looks very nice. I mean, we've been out there a few times. Kids are enjoying it a lot. See people sometimes first thing in the morning, and at this time of the day, they're running all through it. So.
What did you use to seal it? Is it,
We didn't use anything yet. We would use a concrete sealer, is what we would use. Something that you would do about every 5 years. It's like a silicone sealer.
and that wasn't warranted with this, when it was put in? That wasn't part of the whole?
The painting was part of the whole thing. We could change it to the sealing part of it instead of the painting part of it. So we could change it, but we still got to wait the 60 days. So we're almost to that point in time that we could then seal it.
Why do you gotta wait the 60 days? Is it in the specs?
Concrete, it's got a hydrostatic pressure to it, so you want to make sure that a lot of the moisture's out of it, the natural moisture of it, not so much when you have
Right.
the rain and all of that, it's not really having an effect, but the natural moisture and the curing of the concrete.
Okay, it must be somewhere in the manufacturing or something that says that, right, the 60?
Well, it's in the concrete itself, the painting company, so they say they needed to cure that long
I believe I looked at that.
before they warranty it to make sure that it will adhere and stay there. If they do it before that, they won't guarantee that it won't peel immediately.
Right, and someone who paints it, what I looked in the book there, it has to be a member of the ASBA, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so all that will be coming before the board before moving forward?
Well, it's the board now if they want to paint it. And if you want, I can come back to you with, for the agenda or what have you. I'm giving you the updates, but if you want it painted, we can discuss it. I can come back when we're getting ready to paint it.
Yeah, painting versus sealing, what the difference?
Well, the sealer is a silicone sealant. It's just a clear spray that absorbs into the concrete, and it just seals it. Helps for grime and stuff. It stays a little cleaner. And you do them probably about every 5 years. You'd probably do the splash pads probably every 2-3 years. You would seal them. It will help with stuff, get gum on it. It'll come off easier. It won't embed. It will help for staining. So like if kids drop stuff on it, juices and stuff, you won't end up with a lot of different stuff on it.
If they're following direction, they won't have any of that stuff. in there.
You're 100% correct there. I know we've got the signs up, but
My only question is footing. Is the sealant, silicone sealant gonna affect the footing
No.
of it at all?
no, there's already the granular, the sand base that's already there from the concrete, so we should be fine there.
So if you.
The paint would be, they would add a grit to the paint because the paint is a lot thicker, so it would fill in that concrete, so they would add a grit to the paint for that slipperiness.
So say you did paint it and it gets chipped and it has to be sandblasted after?
Let's make them, if it's within the first year, we could probably touch it up, but as it gets older and it starts to chip and peel, let's say, then yeah, you wouldn't just want to paint over it. Have you seen something that you've painted 50 times and you can see all the layers that you've painted? So to give it that cleaner look or appearance, you would have to strip it and repaint it.
And that's at the expense of the park department?
Yes, it's part of maintenance.
Even the sealer, right, would be on our expense?
No.
Yeah, the sealer would be, not the first time around, but after that to maintain it. But the sealer is a bug spray, it's in a bug sprayer. You pour a couple of gallons in that and you spray it on with a bug sprayer.
So it'll be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. It's an easy maintenance piece to
Commissioner
do.
Schultz has a question.
Should every 2 years to seal it?
I would say to do it every 2. Some companies and some manufacturers, depending on the product that you use, will say every 5, but I say every 2 is better.
If we paint, how often do we have to paint?
I mean, they'll warranty it for a year, but I don't know what happens after that.
So we could be painting this thing every year.
I cannot tell you.
Sandblasting, painting the whole schmeal.
I'm not going to even bear to guess. The basketball courts on the asphalt, they guarantee it longer, like they say it lasts longer, which we've had, 3 years, 4 years now on some of the courts. Some of them, they could use some touch-ups. But the concrete's different. The concrete's it's a very different prep. It's a lot longer time for curing. It's just a whole different animal for them that they say with the concrete, for whatever reason. I don't understand why, but
The company that's going to have the warranty, what do they recommend, sealing or painting?
really didn't ask them that. They just kind of told me whatever you prefer, you could paint it or you could seal it. We really haven't had a long conversation with them. They'll do whatever we want them to do. We haven't really had the conversation with the painting company of, what their life expectancy would
What do you
be.
think is better, painting or sealing?
I say sealing. I say because once you paint it, you're obligated either to paint it or blast it off, because if it does start to peel, like I said, you've seen anything that you've painted 100 times that you only just give it a light sand, you can see all the little chips and layers. Starts to kind of look a little shabby. But again, I'll do whatever the board wants and set it up any way that they want.
What's the wait time sealing? After you seal, what's the wait time?
Oh, that couple hours. Dries right away.
Does anybody have any other questions regarding this black
Well, we,
paint?
we used to paint the pool, but I'm assuming it's a different type of paint, or is it the same type of paint?
No, I think it's a different paint. It's more like the basketball court paints, but it's a different prep to paint it. Yeah, they can handle water. It's just everything else that gets thrown on it, which may then affect the painting process.
Do you have any other questions regarding this black paint?
Well, I would assume that if you want this to be
Seal
done
it.
in 60 days, you're gonna have to give him an answer of if he's gonna do sealant or paint, because
I'll make a motion to seal.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made for the sealant, and seconded.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
I can get a little more information and I'll send it off, and you guys, and when I'm getting ready to seal it and stuff, I'll notify you. Yeah. Yes.
he's not in yet.
No, but
But that's not
when it
gonna be
goes
a
in,
no
same company?
I don't know.
Is that-
Right, no charge to the park.
Okay, we
Yeah.
got that in writing.
Yeah, yep, no charge to the
Is
park.
that the same, Pulaski, when that goes in, is that the same company?
That would be the
It
same,
would be the same,
yep, same scenario, same,
okay.
going to Pulaski.
Should we vote on that one too, no?
I say so.
We'll let them discuss.
Well, I would
Pulaski
assume,
first.
I would assume in Pulaski, you'd have to make a change order, because that contract is in progress. This other one is done. But
Yes.
for us to have our documents in order, I would prefer that a change order be made, because right now, those contracts are stating that they're gonna be painted. I don't want someone to come back and say, how come this wasn't painted? This way, he's got his money savings on record, and we got our change in scope of work on record.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would prefer that before we do anything with Pulaski, we know that that scope of work has been changed and a change order. Because supposedly you're gonna sign the contracts for Pulaski,
Mhm.
so you will sign a change order for Pulaski.
I wanna see that, I'd like to see that in writing. First park to apply for a splash pad. Everybody has them for Pulaski Park, 3 years. And we won't get it this year.
Oh, you're getting it this
We
year?
will never get it this year. I can guarantee we won't get it this year. They're probably gonna do this next year, because we won't get it. It's too late in the season.
Well, it's not, we're waiting for CDA to have their pre-construction meeting. They have a pre-construction meeting because they have funds in into this park. So they have to have, because it's under Davis-Bacon rules, so they have a pre-construction meeting they have to have with the contractor before the contractor can actually come out and do any work. All the contracts went to them and all of that stuff for them to sign, send back. Once we get all of that stuff, we'll have everybody review everything, sign that piece of the contract. The CDA is gonna set up their meeting with them, and we're really hoping for them to get started within the next 2 weeks.
So you have to wait for CDA before you can even say you're gonna have the next 15 days.
Well, here's my question for Chris. To be honest with you, splash pads close in 1 month. And for us to go rushing to put the splash pad in, to sit exposed from October to June, doesn't really make much sense to me, but that's up to this.
No, it doesn't matter, they've already
But
been.
the guarantee starts the day it's done, so our warranty is gonna start in October, and it's gonna expire in October, when it could go from June to June, and I kinda get 2 seasons out of that warranty rather than 1. That's just my preference.
So I can talk to him with that, and with the change order, maybe I can get it so that it could be warranted from the June to June. But I'm saying is get them to do it now and put it in place, because it's great weather, it's great timing, to do it. They've bid on it, they were awarded it, they've basically have the job to go ahead and install it. So when all of this is all done and we've come to the board and everybody signed off on it, they could put it all in and that, and then maybe we can work. And again, it's up to the board. If the board wants to wait till next year to have them do it, we can.
Well, so this is CDA
There's a portion of it, yes.
question. So did that come before the board before anything? Does it come before the board so we can know what's going on with the CDA projects? Did that come here?
No.
It won't come before the board.
We're
CPA,
hopeful.
this was funded through the CPA,
No.
Oh.
but they're short of money, so
So
CDA
CDA,
is
oh,
gonna.
that's CDA, not
Yeah.
CP, okay.
So, but this is my question. CDA, and this so the board knows, Parks and Playground Improvements gets a certain amount of money
Okay.
through CDA, of which
CDA,
agreements
okay.
come before this board and are signed. And I'm assuming, Chris, that that's where that money is going to come from.
Okay.
So, in a line item in our CDA breakdown of park and playground improvements, it should say Pulaski Park splash pad and a dollar amount. So if we get $100,000 from CDA and 30 of it goes to Pulaski, you now have 70, but that does,
That's how,
to
okay.
answer your question, it does come before the board.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
the first order of business is a motion regarding the change order.
Motion
Do
to,
you need a contract first before you can have a change order?
I thought he said he had a contract.
It's not signed.
No,
It's not.
signed.
All right.
It's gotta come to the board and,
So that contract is at CDA right now,
yes.
so we don't have it.
No.
Okay. So we don't need it.
Paperwork is being put together, and then it's gonna go through purchasing and CDA and be brought to you. Because even though it's CDA, it still has to go through the purchasing.
Chris, that change order, when it takes place, will consist of the seal and not the paint, correct?
Right. Well, it'll be both, because what it's gonna show you what they call a deduct change. So even when you get a credit from it, they do it in the form of a change order. So it's gonna show you a deduct change. Let's say it costs $100. It's more than that, but we'll find out what their line item is. So it's $100. And then the sealer is $25. So then you'll see another change order for the $25. So that you're basically getting $75, but it's showing it all in the paper.
Okay.
It just shows the trail of where all the money is and where it went, so it all balances out.
Does anybody have anything else as far as Pulaski's splash pad? And next item you have listed, Chris, is pathways, logos, and Father Kelly.
Yep, Pathways at Ruggles and Father Kelly. Architect is still finishing up design. Pretty much, I want to say it's about 90% done. With that, once we get those designs and that, we'll bring it to the board, show you the board. It's pathways, it's the sidewalks. Basically, we're replacing all the sidewalks in these 2 parks. And they're actually pathways, they can't call them sidewalks. The state has given us a park grant for it, to do these sidewalks. We did try to go to CPA for taking the wires that are in the parks to put them underground. We were denied that. So we are currently working on putting the wires that are in the parks underground. So I'm trying to get some pricing, and we're gonna pay for that out of our regular budget to put them underground. And then that way there, the park grant is requiring now in the future, any parks, that they don't have overhead wires in the parks. They want the parks to have that cleaner look in the parks and kind of go back to the way they used to be before we started adding telephone poles and power and all of that stuff.
At
So
some point, all our wires in the parks will be underground.
yeah, they want them all underground. So we've already started with National Grid with some items. Some things I got to talk to the board, but also Nancy about lighting. We're going to get to a point about lighting. What are we going to do about lighting in the parks? We can leave poles. We can have poles, but they don't want wires running from the street to the pole to power up a light. So it'd be running it underground. We could put a pole out on a city sidewalk. So like Ruggles, you have Seabury Street, Locust Street. Locust really don't have any. Yeah, Locust does. Nope, Locust doesn't. Only at the very, very top, there's a small bit of sidewalk, mostly Pine Street. So what Pine Street is a long sidewalk that runs the whole length of the park. We can't do that sidewalk. That's considered a city sidewalk. So that sort of things are not the type of sidewalks we can do. We can only do what's inside the park, what's inside. So I could actually technically put a pole out at the curb line over there and then go underground into the park and then put up the lights. So we would just run a conduit up the pole and put the spot.
Changing all the lights in the parks, or you just?
Yeah, I'd change, at least the ones that we're gonna do the underground and we're gonna put new power to them and stuff, we would change them to LEDs. And put LED spotlights up there instead of having the old yellow ones and stuff.
You're changing the poles too?
Depending if the pole is in good condition or not, if we needed that, some of them I'm looking at using, when you look at some of these parks, they have poles surrounding them for all the houses in the neighborhood. So some of them I could actually put the spotlight on those poles around the park and light up the park. And then there's the parks, let's call Kennedy. It's got spotlights in the middle of the park to light it up. You can't light it from the outside, it's so big. So you'd have to light it from the middle out as well. So we would have to look at that if we got into that park.
So did you say this was grant money?
Yes.
So who applied for that?
This is what we did when we were applying for park grants, we applied for it.
Okay, so that came before the board.
I believe it did. This was a while back that we started this one, last year.
So is there any way that I could get a copy of that? Because if it was before me, then I'd just like to see how much.
Marcy must have it.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Marcy gave me, what she gave me was the change, because there was 4 in the scope.
Right, there was 4 originally in the
She gave
scope.
me- She did give me the change,
So we had
I got the change.
4 parks in this original scope, and we also had it at CPA for funding to get rid of the wires and put all the wires on the ground, and when we were denied that, we had to reduce the size of the project, knowing what we could afford out of budget to be able to put wires underground. And these were the 2 parks that we said that we could still do. Our grant writer then talked to the state, and they were willing to reduce the park grant so that we could still do these pathways in these 2 parks.
Anything else?
I'll get you that change, Marcy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item we have, Chris, is the hockey rink repair at Boston Park.
Yeah, I called the company. We're kind of going back and forth with them. I think they gave me, they come out with a price of $7,000. We first had a conversation going back maybe 2 years when this came up about there was a warranty issue. It was buckled underneath and it was buckling on one side. We called the company, didn't hear back from them for a while, called them again, went through the same routine. They'd get back to us, didn't hear back from them, went through it a couple of times, finally got them back. The company that they bought the floor from went out of business. They hired that was a sub of the company that sold us the hockey rink. The hockey rink, the flooring, like I said, they went out of business. This company feels that they have another company that they could come down and adjust the flooring. They originally said that the grade was wrong, that the grade had too much of a pitch, and it was the snow and the ice that had caused it to slide to one side. It just so happens that the contractor that did that park is actually working out here, IW Harding. And we actually went over there and shot some grades, and it's right on what specifications of what FST is, the architectural firm that did this for the state. This park was done by the state. It wasn't done by the city. The state put this park in. So we called them back and said, it's within specifications, you know, you kind of own it. they're like, well, the company that did it isn't in business anymore and we don't own it because they were a sub of ours. We're like, well, I feel that you do. So we're willing to work together and talk to them and see. They came back with a price of $7,000. So we're just still sitting back and forth what we're gonna go and do and see if we can negotiate the price down lower with maybe they eat half, we take half, and see if we can shoot.
So, were they, the contractor who did this, were they paid?
Yes.
They were paid?
Oh, yes.
So they were paid and left us with all this mess? Maybe.
That wasn't like that when they were paid.
Well, maybe they need another.
That's a year later. Well, actually, what you see there, that's 2 years later. It didn't look like, the first year was just one little area that buckled.
Oh, okay, okay, but to me, I think maybe.
First year, they never, I'll be honest with you.
They
Chris,
never
you
did.
know,
I went in the
they
minutes.
Never even met for some reason, that floor
Yeah.
never met the wall, ever. I have
No.
pictures in my phone from July of 2015 or
Yeah.
whatever it was. And we talked to them from the beginning, and they've been avoiding us from the beginning, or whatever they've been doing. But that floor was never right. And I don't know who, it's not you, it's not me, whatever, but how anyone was paid for that floor is beyond my wildest dreams.
It's before our time, and anybody that we had control of it, and again, the state did it, and the state signed off on it. Wasn't anything to do with the city, it wasn't anything to do with the park board. This was the state that came in and built this park.
But
And
who put this rink in, the state?
State, the whole park was the state. Everything in there was the state that built that entire park. Was nothing that the city did.
Who paid for who paid for this? The state paid for all this?
Yeah, the state was a $2-point-something million park.
And we didn't have to pay for anything?
I don't think we did. I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't on the project,
Yeah,
so.
I know, it's tough for us too, because we don't know this, so
Right.
we gotta ask the questions.
But we've been trying to work it out and trying to get them, and we finally got them somewhat talking, and I'm hoping to meet them in between somewhere, and if we can meet them in between, we get it fixed. We do have a ton of flooring. It's in the building that's
That might
there.
explain why the floor don't meet the wall, because there's a lot left over.
Well, that was supposed to be the added stock. That's supposed to be the extra, so that if you do have a piece broken or whatever, you're supposed to be able to replace it.
So then the warranty's no good anyway, because the guy that did it, company that did it is no longer in business.
Even the information that I have, Marcy, the warranty was 50% the first year, 25% the year
So
after
forget
that.
it.
So that warranty is long gone.
That's why we need to see warranties and contracts and everything before going forward with these projects. That way there, we will know what to do moving forward.
That's
So-
why I'm putting these books together for you.
Yeah, we need
These
to
books
see-
here will give you the
I won't sign
warranties.
anything unless I see
It will give you all of that. It gives you the project manuals, control setups, advertisement, contracts, contractors, bids, numbers. It gives you all of that information in these books. So whether somebody missed it or not, you get a new member, they can ask, hey, can I see your book on?
For the record, Chris is putting these together because just exactly for this reason, I have requested that these books be put together
Yeah.
because I have run into numerous problems from past projects that I do not have information from. So I've asked Chris, going forward, if he can find
That's
the
great.
information, to please forward it to me, and if not, from here on in, we need books and documents. But if the
Yeah.
information flows the way it's gonna flow, we will have all this information, even 3/4 of the information in that book will have filtered through this board before that book is even made up.
So you'll have a lot of it, and then if anybody needs to look back at it, you'll have them in the books, and have that. Projects that were, before I took over and all of that stuff, anything that I've been finding, plans, specifications, anything that I have that I'm still opening up, boxes that were just stuffed in the corner. And plans I'm still going through because there was a ton of them in our office. So as I find them, I put them together, I put them in a box, and I've sent them to her office a couple of times. We've done a couple of trips to her office with stuff. But these are things that are in the past that don't have a lot of this stuff, that we still look for warranties or books or product information and stuff that, just not there. Don't know where they are, don't know where they went.
I'm glad that's the case because this board has been asking for that for a long time.
Well, that's why I came up with the idea that I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this all together. I have,
That's right, yeah, I nearly choked you for it.
not for these books, these were not, you just wanted the information. I started to break it down so that this book comes like this, it's all tabbed, every little piece that the way it's going to be individual, and it has a cover sheet. That's why we did a sign sheet. So you sign, I sign, and we all accept what we gave. And we said, if there's anything more information that you need, we'll add another sheet and we'll give you that
I have a
information.
question. In the documentation that you have given me, I have one book like that for Highland Park. So if we track down the contractor for these individual projects, which many of them may be the same contractor, they must have this information. Are they able to provide it? I'm willing to pay for the book. because it's a valuable
Some do, some don't. That's why when I gave you all that stuff, I said, now you have the specs, so you know who the architect was. You have the IFB numbers and all that, so you'd have to work with
book. For Highland
purchasing.
Park, I'll be perfectly honest with you, a lot of that information in the boxes that you gave me are repetitive information. They're like 3 copies or 4 copies of the same thing, but they are not contracts, manuals, and warranties.
No, they're not, because I'm only finding you what I have, which was the plans, the specifications.
I don't want them to be misinformed.
No, I know that. That's what I said earlier, that what I find, what I can find, and what I found that I've given you. It wasn't just on Highland Park. I know it was on a multitude. I know there was the North Park one, there was the Highland Park one. I know the Highland Park one was the book because I got it from Rodney. Rodney gave me that book.
What
So,
North Park one? I just have to call the playground?
yeah.
No, I don't have a book on North Park there.
Not a book. Again, it's not a book. It's only like plans or specifications that we find. To get any of that other stuff, you have now the plans and the specifications. So that specification book, not this book, not something that has warranties. It's a specification made up by an architect for a contractor to bid on the documents for them to be able to design or build the park. But now you have that, you'll be able to go to purchasing with the IFB number and find the contractors and find who actually,
Here's my problem. For Pulaski Park alone, I have 3 specification books for 3 different dates. Which book am I gonna use?
number 3.
Sure, the latest, but
Right.
what's to say? That's what I'm saying is in those boxes. There's a lot of information in the boxes, and I will put it together and I will show you what's in there. But a lot of it is,
That's why I say, everything that I can find that I have, any extra plans, any extra specifications, not even extra, whatever ones I have.
welcome to come by
I
and look
have,
at
yeah.
it.
I go down
Yeah,
and check this.
yeah.
out.
Commissioner Fabio.
The light, has that been fixed yet, or the lamp, the light at the?
No, actually, the company, again, that's working out here is Cullen. He's the one that I finally got my hands on. I didn't know who the electrician was. Again, I didn't work on it. With I.W. Harding working here, I was able to find the electrician, which was Cullen. I've talked to him, and he's going to try to get me the actual product, that light. There is an extra head in the building, but the pole, they need a pole. So I'm just trying to help out with it. These were things that maintenance should do, but I'm trying to help them out to try to facilitate on where to find the products and stuff, because she didn't have any books or anything like that, so that's what we're trying to do to help.
So Bishop's not in charge of it no more? Right here it says Bishop Electric.
Yeah, we were trying to get Bishop Electric to do it and stuff, but it's hard to find what the product was. We went we got the electrician that's right here, who's actually doing some of the work on the street. He should have what he used or know what he used and the product, so it's a little bit easier. So we're just waiting for him to come and send us what that product was, then we can have Bishop put it together.
Are they gonna charge us for that again, or?
Oh yeah, we'll get charged for that. That truck hit that. That's got nothing to do with the company or the manufacturer. Something hit that.
Commissioner Schulenberg.
When you're doing them books, Chris, is there gonna be one book for all the parks, or you're gonna have one book for each park?
Oh no, I have a book for each individual.
For job, it's gonna be per
Yeah, each in the
project.
job. So here's Griffin Park.
Okay.
This is Chew Splash Pad. I'll have one for Pulaski, and every park that we do from here on out, any jobs that we do from here on out, so that if you have any type of warranty, any type of product, so you're gonna know the product information, you're gonna know the warranty to that product. Then you're gonna have the contractors, we have in here, we have the contracts in here, we have the specifications in here, we have the plans in there. We put the plans right inside there as well. So you'll have everything that we had, everything that went on, everything that went into every park that we did. So every time we work on one of the products, they're gonna get one of these.
So, did it go out for procurement for the Bishop? Because we have Bishop here, and then you said somebody else. Did you send that out for,
No, this is to fix a light.
right?
So you wouldn't necessarily need to procure that unless we hit a $10,000 threshold. Anything that's in a general maintenance type thing that normally does this type of work, it's just good business practice. You try to keep them honest, and you might ask for quotes for prices and stuff, but it's not something that you have to bid out and advertise and all of that stuff. It doesn't fall under that type of chapter.
Everybody all set with that issue? I like, Whitland Park,
That's been completed.
sidewalk at Highland Park.
The sidewalk has been completed. What we're working on still with that up there is the Highland Neighborhood Group. We're requesting that we use this timber. And we came to the board and we suggested this is what we were going to use. And it's what you see on the boardwalk. So if you go on the boardwalk, they're like 1 foot by 1 foot timbers that sit up on a 4-inch block of lumber. And this is going to create a couple of things. One, it creates a bench so anybody sitting along there can actually see the baseball game and watch the game. But also what it will do is it create a car stop. It will stop the cars from overhanging so that the noses of the car or the back end of a car isn't blocking the sidewalk. We've seen a few times cars pull right up to the curb, right up to the little berm that there is, and half the front of the car is taking the sidewalk. You can't get by. So we're putting these timbers in. So we've already completed the sidewalk, we completed the fence, we put the fence in, we moved the berm at the end. There was like an opening that went into the park. We moved that over already. So now we just got to finish putting the timbers in. So that's hopefully will be done in the next 2 weeks, is what the contractor tells me. He's been working it's heavy stuff, so everything that you could pick it up, you have to pick it up with a backhoe. Every piece that you're cutting with big saws, it's big timber, so they're working on it.
Is that going in?
Next I have, anybody have any questions about that? Next is, the backstop netting at Maplewood Park.
Yep, the backstop netting is up and completed. Mr. Howard is extremely happy. He hasn't had, I guess, not one ball come into his yard yet.
That issue's been going on for,
I think that issue has been resolved. We went 60 feet high. We were 82 feet across. I've actually got the company to give us another net. Well, we're going to pay for it, but at a much cheaper cost than you would have originally paid for it. They're going to cut it because that net was bigger, taller than what it was originally. So they're going to make it to that exact size, to what they did, put the ropes around it and tie it all together and fold it up nice and neat and give it to us. So we'll have another net. If that net ever gets shabby or holes in it or any of that sort of stuff, anything happens to it, we'll have another one to replace it immediately.
What's that net gonna
Yeah.
cost?
That net is going to cost me $2,500.
$2,500. How much we pay for the other?
Well, that was all in part of the project and stuff like that, but I got them done. It was more in the $6,000 range.
we're still intending to do the maintenance that we just discussed in the past about lowering it, taking it down.
We did, we discussed it. It's an all-weather net. This is something that they put up in parks and ball fields all around the country. And this net is, I think the warranty on this is 5 years, and again, you'll get a book on that again. But they have where they say that you don't have to take it down. And you don't have to remove it because it's an all-weather net. It's meant to be outside. It's meant to do all of that stuff. We did in our original design was going to be a crank up, crank down, all of that. Nancy was there at the time. I was out at this particular time. We talked on the phone. We discussed it. In their professional opinion, they felt that this was a better option to go with. They felt because of the cranks, you're not going to get the stretch out of the net we were looking for. It'd be much more difficult to pick it up and down because it was so high. They felt in their professional opinion it was better to go with this and do this particular item than it was to go with those cranks, because you'd have to have a couple of people putting on the cranks.
So we are gonna take it down in the winter.
We can take it down. We said that we would, because we set it so that our bucket truck reaches it. We'll take it down, we'll straighten it out, and we'll put it down and pull it back up. And we'll help with the parks, and told the parks that we'll help do it, and
It
that,
wouldn't
so.
last long if you take this thing down and start
Yes, the
leaving it out
question
in
I've
the
been getting
winter.
is the wings. Are the wings,
Yes,
they gonna
that's
put
what I
the
was gonna
wings?
ask.
Yeah, the wings, we were decided not to do. We haven't had a problem. There's no issues. The balls are not going anywhere. And what you're gonna have for a wing would be where that cable is, because really there's no other place to attach out. And when you look at what that little 45 of that cable is, the bottom of it is maybe 10 feet to nothing. And it's really not gonna do anything, because it's not affecting anything now. We waited and see it to make sure that everybody was happy with it. Right now, like I said, Mr. Howard's very, very happy with that there's not a single ball.
So you're definitely not going like you originally said it.
No, originally was with the crank and was to follow the outline of the backstop.
Right, but we're gonna go put up a pole on each side where the foul balls would go.
On the first baseline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not the wings that they were talking about. We weren't gonna add another pole and add another set of
No,
wings.
it was they were gonna put diagonal.
They were just gonna go diagonal and follow that cable. And looking at it, you go, it's really, what is it gonna stop? It's not really, there's not much there that it's gonna catch. But we waited to see if there was going to be somewhat of a problem. If we did, that maybe it would. If we found a lot of it, the balls were gonna be going out and they're rolling down towards that part of the neighborhood, that we would look at that. And right now, it seems to be fine just the way it is. And this is what we determined, getting from the professionals that did this net, and this is what they do every day for a living. They put these up all over the place, in ball fields and stuff, and it's worked. Mr. Howard's very happy, and he still wants to see his light that's shining in his house change, but I told him to.
The one that goes right up above the front.
Okay, so here's the story on the light. Okay.
Before we go on to Commissioner has a question.
So there was changes, obviously, that Commissioner Farias had stated that, because he was looking for the two
Wings.
wings and whatever. So when the changes moved forward, did that come before the board so that we would all know that we're not doing that?
No, because they did this on the day that they were installing, so that was something that we had to make that decision kind of like right there, just for the simple.
To be more informed, that way there we're not, asking questions.
Nancy was there with us, and
No, but
we
I
tried
didn't know the
to.
wings weren't going up.
Oh.
I thought the wings were still going.
Right.
I think that's what she's talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Because I
Just
didn't
so
know
in the
wings were
future, if
going
we can be, know ahead of time, so that, because it seems like he didn't know, and I
didn't know.
truly didn't know. I didn't know either.
And I
So,
was there when they were setting it up.
so next time, if there's any changes that are being made, even though I know they're professionals and everything, I just think it's it should come before the board so we can see if there's going to be a cost or anything moving forward. We need to, be on top of things, Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything else? Nancy, lights?
The light shields, I've worked with Maplewood. I think we should come up with a company that has the light shields for those particular lights. I will purchase the light shields if that's the case. I have put a purchase.
So they just one?
I'm not, supposedly, they say 3 would be sufficient, but that bank of lights is 6. I will buy 6. Because I'm not gonna take any chances that light does still shine.
Well, you just don't want, because as Nancy is saying, is that
For
you have to hire a
$400.
crane to get out there to go up to these lights. So to put 3 and then have to go back and get another crane and
Right.
mobilize, it costs a fortune. So you're better off just getting all 6 and doing it all in one shot and then just be done with it.
That's
Then
my
you-
intention.
Because then you basically just charge for that
What's
one
them
time.
shields?
That's it.
Yeah.
At what cost?
They weren't that expensive, and I'll be honest with you, I'm in contact with Maplewood because if Maplewood is done playing for the season, I'm not gonna hang those shields to make it through October, November, December, January, February. Once they do the lights in March and everything, that we'll put the light shields up then, because why put these light shields out for 6 extra months of inclement weather that they don't have to endure?
What's the cost for 6 of them then?
I don't know off the top, it wasn't that, I would say maybe, I don't wanna give you the wrong price, I will bring the price back next meeting. A few $100.
Labor included?
No labor included, that's just.
No crane.
material.
No crane.
No crane included either.
Next time on your list is the retaining wall at Kennedy Park.
The retaining wall at Kennedy Park is being funded by CPA. CPA has yet to fund these projects. They have been to council and been back to CPA, and then CPA is sending it back to council. So whenever we get the funding in that, we'll start the hunt for a mason and start looking at the repair. We did some temporary work there. We put some big concrete blocks, about 2,500 pounds apiece, and put them in front of the wall to stop anything that may have a potential of falling or collapsing or anything like that. So we did that for safety reasons and put it there. It doesn't look the greatest, but it is doing the job, so we don't worry about anything falling.
That section there where you got all those blocks now, that wall is still pretty solid up further, right? So it's not gonna...
Not all, it looks pretty good up there. This particular area, because the section fell out in the middle and the two sides there, when that fell out, and then it was...
It buckled in, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was left there for a while, and then because of that, the water's running in that way. Doesn't have any real drainage behind it. It was just built back in the day with just big, heavy granite blocks, and that's a pretty big bank. So when we fix it this time, we're gonna kind of gravel behind it and put some drainage behind it, and hopefully alleviate some of that hydraulic pressure behind it. And
Chris, on regarding the wall, I see there that it was at the city council, I watched it, and Councilor Rivera had asked Mr. Souza if it formally was presented to the park board, and the answer was yes. So I just was wondering when it came before the park board about the retaining wall.
before we went to CPA for funding.
Okay, so can I get a copy of that?
Yeah, what do you want, a copy of the CPA?
Yeah.
Application?
You signed it, yeah.
Do you have a copy of that, Nancy? No? All right.
And I don't have it in the minutes, I have, because she had, Councilor Yekin has asked me about it. I don't have it in the minutes, I have it as a conversation, we're looking to do this, we're looking to do this, but the
Right, these were all of the-
applications.
Right, all right. Because no, I came before the board and told them what I was looking to do, because I was looking to do this. I was looking to do her building. There was a couple other projects. I was the boat ramp, that was down at Bicentennial. There was a couple of them that I wanted to do. And the other ones were the 4 parks for the pathways with the park grants. That was all right at the same time, because we were going to CPA for the wires. So these were all the things that we discussed with the board. I didn't give you the applications.
So in other words, though, it was discussed, it wasn't really brought to us with everything there. So next time, if we can just be, when you bring the ideas, if you could just bring everything to us, that way they were all on the same.
Yeah, I just don't think we had the applications or that done at that point. We were looking to do this, see if the board had anything that they didn't want it done.
Did you have minutes on that regarding the board saying any involvement on that?
No, it's just when Chris came before, he's saying this, you came before us and said, this is what we want to do, we're looking to do this, this, and this. I think what the board is looking for is, and not only from you, but from everyone who presents an application, to give them a copy of the application. If the application is prepared enough to submit to the CPC, then a copy should be submitted.
Yeah, and that's not an issue. The thing of it is at the time when I came here to discuss it, I hadn't had the applications. I was letting you know, these are the things I'm looking to do. If you were like, no, I don't want you to do that, then I wouldn't have filled out the application. But yeah, not a problem. I'll give you a copy of my applications. I actually have them in the office. I can send them to you, Nancy.
Because what happens is, like I said, I think you and I had a discussion about Columbus, where you didn't have the application, and for some reason I did.
Right.
So that's what prompted them to ask me to get the CPC information. And we have like 12 that we didn't even know that we had. We have 2. We knew of 2, and we have 12.
So yeah, not
So
a.
it's getting confusing.
It's getting out of control,
Yeah,
and I think
so
the
we're trying to
CPC, in all
bring it-
honesty, and is changing their whole procedure anyway,
Right.
because this is not the only department that is in this situation, and I think Victor had said that at the last meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll probably present to you what I'd be doing in the future.
Right.
If there was something you didn't want or something you wanted to see, then I would add that to my application. When I did my application, then I would send you my application. I just don't know, sometimes the meetings don't always line up. So I might be able to come to you the first and say, okay, these are the things I'm doing. But then I'd be doing the applications after, give you the copy. If you had something that you didn't like on the application and didn't want, then I could probably make the change. Okay?
Next item on your list, Chris, is the healing pool.
Yeah, the Healy Pool is, the demo is finished. We put the fencing back and we put a gate on it so we have access to it later on if we're going to make a splash pad or anything on it there. It was rough graded because that's originally what we said, because they were gonna make a splash pad out of it. Moving forward, they realized the cost and it's gonna take a little longer than they thought. So, excuse me, I have, the contractor's gonna go back and we're gonna loom it and seed it, but we won't do it till the fall. So when we'll get in there, we'll do it, and then that way there, it'll,
Plans right now to do anything, right?
not right this minute, they're still looking at what they wanna do. So what we'll do is we'll just loom and seed that, so then that will just be a grassy area in there. Right now it was rough graded, so where the pool was, it was all sand, so it was easy digging, because that was originally gonna be a big splash pad. So it'd be easy diggings in the splash pad, and, that's why we put sand there, and then the rest is just the gravel broken up from the concrete.
Pretty secure right now.
Oh, yeah, it's all fenced in and that. There's no holes or anything like that. It's a little rocky, and it's got sand in the middle, so there's no holes or anything for them to fill into. There's no water for them to fall into. It's actually safer than it was when it was a pool.
Get a grant or something, if we wanna put a splash pad there.
Better get a big grant.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
yeah.
And just for the record, you're gonna stop paying for your water. I was contacted by the water department. So you might wanna ignore the splash pads, because you're not gonna have a lot of money.
All right, next item we have, Chris,
Splash pads are cheaper than the pool, though.
parks and, Ruggles and Father Kelly. As far as the, overhead wires.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, right, in the first piece, with it, that we're gonna put them underground and stuff, we're gonna work on, and that. As soon as I get any, more information on what we're gonna do, if we're gonna do any spotlights in them or anything like that, once I get it all, what we're going to accomplish there, then we'll move forward and come back to the board and let you know exactly what we're gonna do.
The next item we have is, pole replacement plan. You kinda talked about that earlier. Oh, is that a different plan?
It's different.
So inspect all the poles.
I thought you mentioned that.
Yeah, well, that was just something that we were working on originally. We've looked for some companies, but Nancy is going to, I think, take that over and start looking at that. It's part of maintenance, looking at poles when they need to be replaced and stuff. It's just finding a certified guy. Originally, we were gonna try to train a couple of the workers, but that's not gonna work, because then we just want the liability on the workers, whether they did it right or not, or
Just have to identify a pole that's no good.
yeah. So basically, they,
To try to, because there's no 100% guarantee, but I'd rather have a certified company certify a pole is safe
Yeah.
than one of my park laborers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think,
Yeah.
it's just a liability. You know what I mean? It's better. You know, it's better a company. And again, nobody's going to be 100%. I mean, you don't have X-ray eyes. So you can bang on them, you can stick them, you can drill them, there's a few methods, I guess, of being able to do it, but there is,
Liability.
Liability,
It's better off to get someone who knows what they're doing, because no matter who you.
and even them, again, they're not going to give you a 100% guarantee that pole's going to stand for another 5 years. It can drop in
Yeah.
4 years, 11 months. They can't guarantee it. It's hard to see. You don't have X-ray eyes, like I said, to see inside of it.
Next item we have is, Park Road and Maplewood.
Yep, that has been completed, the Park Road at Maplewood. They actually engineering did all of that. We did a underground utilities there. What we've done is we've taken, because we're anticipating the park wires going underground. So at the very end, coming from the south, maybe 100 feet, just before the tennis courts, there is 3 diagonal pipes underground encased in concrete. So we're ready to put a pole in the sidewalk, the city sidewalk. Those wires or those poles, those conduits would be able to go up the pole, and they'd be able to bring down the primaries that go into the park. If you look at the park, there's some big transformers there. We'd have to go in front of the park board and put a transformer right there in the corner, right where the tennis court is. Right there on the corner, and then now everything would go underground from there. We wouldn't have those transformers up on the pole and all those wires to the building. These wires would all go underground to the building and then go out to the various areas. We had redid the when we did the fencing for the ball field. We did all new underground wiring for the lights with hand holes at every one. We felt that the company hit a couple of wires. They did repairs, but there's some that we couldn't find, and it was just direct burial wire, which wasn't really good, you know what I mean? If the wire gets bad, it gets frayed. If it's next to one of the metal poles, it can electrify it. So we went out and paid to have them put in hand holes all the way around. It's all in conduit. Later on, if we ever have a problem, we can pull more wire through the conduit. So it's a much better job. So that is completed, and we're just gonna enhance it as we go along.
And that's pretty much your list. That you have.
Who paid for that? Who paid for that?
I did.
Did that road?
Oh, the road? Yeah, the city engineer and
City paid for it?
Chris, I have one thing, I just wanna touch base with you on the fencing that was done last year at the ball field, the new fencing. At Kennedy Park, when that was done, I assume it was the company, damaged a pipe for the league who had paid in the past to put sprinklers in the field to help maintain it, and it was never replaced. I was under the impression that that was gonna be replaced when the fencing was done. And now they have no water at that field to maintain, you know,
it's the first I'm hearing of it.
I'm under the impression it's not, but I'm not gonna get into a discussion.
It's the
with
first
you.
I'm,
Well, if you'd like, I can.
this is at Kennedy Park?
Kennedy Park.
The top ball field, the one that had the new,
Small.
yeah, the one that had the new fence put around
Yeah,
it.
the concession stand. When they removed the fence, there's a pipe there that goes to the building, and they broke the pipe. The water had to be shut off to the sprinklers. They haven't been able to use the sprinklers to maintain their field. They were out there with a hose this year to try and maintain their field. The league spent thousands of dollars in the past, and I know it was before your time, but I'm under the impression this. Their league president said to me that we were told that it'd be done when the project was done. They would come back and repair it. If this is the first you're hearing about it, then I'm glad I'm bringing it to your
It's
attention.
not the fact, I was told the same thing, and I relayed the message to someone, and I got hot water, but anyway.
If I get
I got the email, I told someone about the email, and they were supposed to pass it on to you. But that, it came back to head
Yeah.
when I had to send a letter to the leagues to tell them to shut the sprinklers, not utilize their sprinklers. And I think that's when it resurfaced, was when the leagues had.
And if
been told not
it
to
did get sent to me, okay, it could have very well, and I didn't see it, because this is not ringing a bell in any way.
Well, the person said they approached you and actually spoke with you at the time. I don't know about what they said to him, but to me, they said they approached you and spoke with you, so I stayed completely out of it. So I will get that person to contact you.
Yes, please, and show me exactly where it was. We'll take care of it right away.
You know, also, at the bigger field, in the middle, CYO field, the big diamond lights, a few years ago, you weren't here yet, the DCM was doing some work over there, and they broke the pipe water line to the sprinklers in that field. And we were told by your predecessor, not Mr. Perry, the one before him, that that was gonna be taken care of, no problem. And that field still does not have water. The water lines come in from the street into the park, but they stop there because these pipes have not been replaced.
Now, that one, I remember, was broken near the clay mound.
Yeah.
Yep.
It bubbled up. At the time, the plumbing inspector, who is here now, was our plumber, and he fixed it, because we dug it
No,
up.
it was never fixed. They couldn't find it. They were
No.
gonna come back.
That-
They never
that-
came back.
That water's been off for years. They can't use the sprinklers in that field either. it's the same league, so they were a little upset.
How long is that one?
Since they spent, the city actually put the sprinklers in on the big field years ago. But the Little League field, the city didn't spend money, the league spent money for that. And, you know, it's a little upsetting to them that they spend all this money and they can't maintain a city park. Help with the park department.
How long is that one catch up?
They put that new fence in last year, last spring, so it's been, this is the second year.
Yeah, so if the person approached me, if
If
it doesn't ring a bell. Usually I'm pretty good about remembering somebody coming to me and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot about it. But it doesn't even ring a bell that somebody talked to me about it.
I'm not trying to make an issue.
No, that's fine. I'm glad. No, I'm glad because I want to be able to go out there right away and fix
If
it.
you want, I can meet you with the league president there.
Yes,
And
please.
show you exactly where it is.
That'd be ideal. Be
Whenever
perfect
it's
for me.
convenient, I'll talk to him and get a hold of you.
You have my number?
And yes, I do.
All right, they call me right away, and then what I'll do is I'll even bring my plumber with me. We'll go over there. If we have to dig it up, we'll get some machineries if we have to, and we'll repair it right away.
I'm sure that the league is gonna appreciate that.
Oh yeah, that's not a
The
problem.
season's over now, I mean, it's,
Yeah, but no, they just, again, if it did, it might have slipped them, just call me. Come to my office, call my office. We'll go up there and look at it right away. I mean, that's not an issue, you know, especially if it was done by the contract. If it would have been approached right away and I knew that's what it was, I would have went to the contractor and said, hey, you gotta fix this, you know? We did with the lights and
again,
we couldn't pinpoint because he did and he fixed and we looked at all of the holes and we couldn't see any wires in any of the other holes. So he did have an electrician go out there and fix and all of that stuff. And we really couldn't pinpoint that he was the one that damaged the field wires. So he did do his due diligence and did it, but we ended up fixing the wires anyways.
I can only
So-
tell you what I was told, and I was under the impression that you were aware of this.
Okay.
I think he was here last time, wasn't he?
But again,
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll appreciate it, and I appreciate.
Not a
you
problem.
know.
Again, I apologize if that did slip me, but we'll definitely get it corrected.
Thank you.
And we'll work on the other one too.
Then you want anybody else have anything for Mr. Gallagher? Well, we appreciate you coming.
No problem. No, thank you.
Updating us.
One quick
Yep.
question, can I please can the board get an update on the hockey? When you find out?
Yeah, yep, that's not a problem.
Chris, you good?
I don't know if I have anything with me. I can actually send them to Nancy.
Oh, good, okay.
We want his number.
I only have one,
Well,
I'll
actually,
send.
the stack, but I can definitely get you some more.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the North End Neighborhood Association CPA project. Kathy?
Yes.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, thank you.
thank you.
Don't leave, Chris. This relates to you too.
Sorry?
Hot water again, don't leave.
again, huh?
Uh-oh.
Before you start, can you just state
Yes.
your name and address for the record?
Yes, Kathy Kroger, 470 North Belmont Street, Fall River, President of North End Neighborhood Association. Dave
And I'm
Jennings.
David Jennings. I live in Berkeley, and I'm the Vice President of North End.
So the reason we're here is to make you aware of a Cpc Award that was given in 2015 for the North End Burial Ground. Nothing was done at the time. CPC was still working out a lot of their particular procedures, but it was ultimately awarded $104,000 to the Park Board, which we didn't realize at the time either. So you need to be aware of a project that we are hoping to move forward with. I know.
Okay, so,
Apparently, a private entity like North End Neighborhood cannot receive monies directly from CPC, and they awarded it to the Park Board because,
the park board was
It was
awarded?
Park and Cemeteries at that time.
that's right, it
And
was
we
a,
still are park and cemeteries,
No, I thought you had,
we're parks and cemeteries.
Yeah.
So,
$104,000 to repair specifically the gatehouse, repair the slate roof, restore the windows and doors, repointing the fieldstone walls, and restoration of the iron gate.
now, did this all project, I have a question for somebody, did this all come before the board?
No,
No.
No,
So-
it did not. That's why I'm here today,
Well,
to make
thank
you
you.
aware of it, because we've been trying to move forward with it just recently. I've only been the president of the North End for a couple of months, met with people in the city, met with Chris and in cemeteries, and we are looking to
We've been
move
advised to
forward.
go before this board.
Right, to make you aware of the situation.
But the plans and everything, did they come before the board?
No,
No,
We don't have any yet.
no.
You
See,
don't have anything yet?
no, the application,
Okay.
you're talking about the application that was
okay.
submitted to CPC.
Right.
Did it come before the board?
not at all.
No.
We weren't even aware. This happened in 2014.
The problems.
Well, this happened in 2014 when CPC was just getting off the ground. And the policies and procedures were all being worked out and delineated specifically. We did not know that it would not be awarded to North End neighborhoods specifically.
Okay, so this, just to make the board aware.
Yeah.
As you know, when we got all this information about CPCs and everything that was going up in the air, I asked to see if there was an agreement. So this agreement goes as far back as when Holly Bronhardt was the chair of this board. And-
2015.
Right, and I'm looking at this agreement, it's in my hand right now because I'll pass this down to you. It says, date of council approval, July 14th, 2015.
Right.
And then it says, this award is subject to the following terms and conditions. Term, the term of this award is 1 year, which begins on the date of execution of this agreement. All of the work described in this award agreement must be completed by the completion date, October 10 of 2016.
That's correct, but
Unless it says, unless the Fall River Community Preservation Committee grants an extension for good cause. Well, I think that's not known about, it might be
a good cause.
good cause.
Absolutely.
But this is the situation that has happened with multitude of contracts, CPCs, whatever.
Right.
And now it's just turning into
Right.
a jumble of,
It's,
And that's
What
why
do we
we
do with
needed
this?
to come in front of you and speak about the project.
because there is also, I discovered, a contract, another application that was put in by the North End Neighborhood Association for a study
For the North Park,
for the North Park.
correct.
And that particular grant was, I think, for, let's see if-
Existing conditions, $10,000.
right, it was to come up with, but my concern with that was, there was a study done by Martha Lyons
Right.
that pretty much gave you a 7-year plan of what they thought would be done,
Right.
with some of those buildings already being destroyed.
Sure.
So,
And that CPC proposal was before my time, so.
and actually, the North End neighborhood existing thing, existing condition report is for 45,000
Oh, is it 45? Okay.
And what is that one for?
for a study
Oh, the study?
to see,
Oh, that's not.
you know, if we were going to apply for grants,
Mhm.
normally these grants want you to have a document in order that tells you how you're
Right.
gonna move forward. And that 45,000 was for the preparation of those documents, of which this one, you stand the shock, because it's December of 2018.
What is December of 2018?
That contract is good, because this one was awarded in June 27 of 2017.
Oh, it was?
See?
Everybody's surprised.
yeah, no, there's been so many changes in administrations, and even in the neighborhood committees.
So it says the city of Fall River Community agrees to award the recipient the amount of 45,000 for the North Park existing report. The project application has been submitted.
Was it approved
And it
by?
was approved. Here it is, right?
Right.
Those were the two, I received two contracts, or was asked to have the chair sign 2 contracts, which brought all of this to the surface. So
Certainly.
I'm like, if I'm asked to sign get him to sign 2 contracts, what happened to the other 10 things that happened before this? Because I haven't seen any
Mhm.
paperwork on it.
Right.
And when
That
did-
prompted me to ask for these agreements.
When did you get asked to sign them? You just got recently asked to sign them, didn't you?
The end of 2017. The council approved it in June of 17, and the chair's date on this is 12/17.
What year?
So, I mean,
Did we get a copy of it? Did the board get a copy?
this, I brought you these two copies, too, because these were the only two I knew existed.
Yeah, but after he signs it, do you get a copy of it?
I took a copy of it.
So ultimately.
Because I figured it was signed by someone from the board, I wanted a copy of it, so I made a copy of it and then returned them. I felt that's my responsibility.
So ultimately, we would like to move forward. This is my goal, to move forward with the North End Burial Ground.
Well, that, I would assume this board would direct you to contact Mr. Pirano,
Who we already have, who
Okay,
directed
who's
us
in
to
this ordinance?
contact you.
okay,
Because,
to put it before the board.
right,
Yeah, because it was award, the original award is for the,
we
Yeah.
want to
My
make
first
you
advice-
aware.
Exactly. My first
That's what
advice
this is
for-
all about.
for Chris would be to check with the CPC and make sure that, and I will give you a copy of this, just to make sure that it is all still in place and the money is still there.
It is all
It is.
still in
Yes,
place.
it is.
We have checked.
Can
We
have
have
something
checked.
in writing?
Yeah, can we get some
And they
documentation?
gave,
I have a copy of it.
That's the application.
No, this is the award. The award agreement is made between the City of Fall River, CPC,
That's
and
what I have right
That's
here.
the Board of
Yeah,
Parks,
we
right?
wanted the-
all right.
We want something updated.
Since you've
No, the
got-
original application, to see what is actually the scope of work, because in the original application.
I think the scope of work is on the award letter.
It
is.
is, it is. I
Right,
just
but that
read
has-
it to
But you
you.
have to, when you submit an application to CPC, you actually give them
That's
like
right.
a narrative of
Yeah.
what you're
Right.
looking to do, and that
That's what we're
narrative
looking
is not in this
I
agreement.
can get you a copy of it. I have a copy of
And
it.
Kathy, have they given you an extension? Have they given you an extension?
We've spoken to them about
yeah,
it.
they gave like everybody extensions because the first year they was kind of goofed up a little bit. So, I know they gave the Lafayette Dairy House one.
I think they're still
because-
honoring all of this.
They are still
No, because the
honoring it.
money is so
Yeah.
hard, it takes such a long time to get the money. It takes over a year to be awarded the money. So you've been approved, but you can't start anything because you haven't gotten any money.
And because this is city property, it had
Has
to
to
be
go through-
awarded to a city board.
To Chris's board, right? And it has to go off a bid, right, 3
Right.
bids. I mean, it follows the whole, you guys know.
And just FYI, I have a proposal from Mike Keane to do an existing conditions report and schematics regarding a plan moving forward. And he's looking at a price of $8,200 for that. In my conversation with him, he's also informed me that we are not going to have enough money to do the scope of work that we initially wanted to do.
You might have had it in 2016.
Might have
Yeah.
had it then.
No, it wasn't enough then either.
No, it wasn't. No.
So it's $104,000 they've awarded to you, but we're gonna have to
Right, so
go.
there are certain, this is what I'm saying, so there are certain items in that scope of work that are probably listed that it should be this board's decision as well as in conversation with the North End Neighborhood.
Yes.
To decide what's going to be eliminated and with Chris
Right.
Pirano, and what's going to stay and what exactly this funding can actually
Actually
pay
do.
for.
Right.
And in addition, we would like to apply again, a second time, for additional monies to complete the full scope of the work.
Mhm.
So we would like to partner with you, and that's why we're here. Not exactly sure how to go about doing
Well, I
that.
don't think that the CPC, when the application rounds become available again, they may have different rules now because Victor is our
Exactly.
representative. So what my advice to you would be to wait and
Right.
see what the CPC rule is. And then when you know that you're gonna put in that application, come back before this board with that application.
But we would also like to move forward with this, with your permission.
Hang on one second, Mr. Gallagher, you got some information?
Well, yeah, and I wanna give her my card, so I ask for the card back and give you my card.
Thank you.
Yep. Again, this was the CPA starting off and what they did at the very beginning.
It was very early on.
It was very early on, very new. This first started out with my predecessor, that ended up with me when he left. We hired an architect, we went out for bid, we hired an architect. It's an architect is doing or was doing several projects for CPA that they were working on, fire museums and a couple other type. This architect had subsequently had to be fired from several of the jobs. So the gentleman that started this project was, with the architect, was almost a year long of going back and forth with him. There was one thing that he did do, which went to Mr. Keene, the new architect that we're looking to hire, or that we do have, they did a laser scan of the building and of the structure, which Mr. Keene now has. But that was the only thing that he did. So he was then subsequently fired. We then had to send him notification. We had to wait on the notification, make sure that there wasn't going to be any repercussions or anything that he was going to object to. And then we could go out, and we went out and we applied for Mr. Keene to give us a price and a quote on what he would charge us to do this work.
Have you signed this and sent it back?
Yes, he is. He has got that, yeah.
Okay.
So we will be moving forward. And Mr. Keene is historic in nature, so we are moving forward with that. The CPA, the money is still there. They understood.
He did the Oak Grove gates.
Yes,
Oak Grove
yeah, he
gates.
did Oak Grove gates. Did a beautiful job, and he is somebody that knows a lot of the historic part of this particular project. So he's somebody that we went out to and solicited, and he's the one that we're using. So he's very, very knowledgeable in that, and he's the
Right.
one that we wanted to get started. And I know that you approached him as well, but he was one that I had approached right away, right after we knew that we could go move forward with it.
So how are we going to move forward with it is the question. Because to come before the whole board with every detail is very time consuming. Is there one person that can be a liaison between myself and
Mr. Gallagher?
And Mr. Morano.
Mr. Morano.
So between me and Mr. Morano, we'll both touch base on and we'll meet with the architect.
Okay.
We'll be keeping him informed. We'll be sending the board, well, when this is a,
Chris is the one that needs to do it. Because that's what I'm thinking, right?
Well, there's two different situations, the money,
it comes from me.
him, that's right,
Yeah, but-
exactly.
It all
Even
comes
though
from
it's
the
awarded
citizens.
to you, it goes through Mr. Gallagher,
Right,
but
but
then
I'm saying
Chris
Chris
is
has
the
to be involved.
cemetery man, so
Right.
we all need to really
We all need to work
partner
together.
together.
Chris just needs to pay the bills.
That's all, yeah,
This
that's all Chris
Chris
does, yeah.
needs to confer with this
Exactly.
board
Okay.
to make sure that what is going on is acceptable to this board.
Okay.
That Chris just
think
needs
my-
to pay the
my
bills.
Can it
That's
also,
right.
can it also be acceptable to the North End though, too? Can we
Yes,
be
no,
Yes.
partner with you?
Right, to
Okay.
make sure that everyone is in agreement.
All right.
There may be some concessions on either.
I think we would need, I think, was the question, park board approval to engage Mr. Keene in starting whatever.
There's-
Absolutely.
The board was approved for the former architect to do, and now that we've got now that we have the contract, now we can give to the board and
Right,
have
but I
them.
think what Chris is saying is correct.
You're
Before
right,
you can
right.
award that contract for
need
$8,000
their
to
permission.
That's
Mr.
correct.
Keene,
It has
this
to go
board
before it.
needs to award that contract.
Yeah, it's
So-
been signed, but it hasn't been awarded. It's been signed but not awarded.
So can we vote on that then?
But they don't know what Mr. Keene is doing.
Yeah, we need
Okay.
to say, so I would make a motion to table it so that we can get the information and then we can look at it and then move forward.
I could give you a copy right now.
Well, that's not enough, we need,
No, that you could make more
Yes.
copies.
Yeah, she
of.
can-
Give
they
you the
give it to
copies,
Nancy,
I can
please, and then
distribute
that way we
And then
can-
they can review it, and you can maybe get this all settled by the next meeting, and as
I'm making a
well.
motion.
If you need a copy of
And
that,
as
you can come
well,
to my office. I
this,
can give you a copy of
this
that.
one for the
I can send you.
45,000.
Do you want this?
This one for the 45,000, which
Yes.
is the North Park one.
Right.
That it also was
Awarded to you.
awarded to the Board of Park Commissioners. And that contact person would be me with, I guess, Chris paying the bill again.
Okay.
But technically, it's just a formality.
Right.
Okay.
Chris paying the bill is technically a formality
Okay.
because the board is going to, the board and you and I are gonna have to
Right.
confer on how this one's gonna
Play out.
This is the 45,000 one is gonna play out.
Okay.
And the board and Chris and yourselves are gonna have to figure out how this one is gonna play out.
Right.
And Chris is going to be somewhat of a consultant as far as
Exactly.
the building and the,
Sure.
and the codes and that type of
Sure.
thing for Mr. Brown from the cemetery.
So,
A motion is made to table till the board has a chance to review the information
Second.
that Nancy just received.
Right.
She's gonna forward to the board. Motion been made and seconded Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I ask for clarification? So that they're going to give me the applications that were submitted for both of these items, correct? Okay.
And whatever she just handed.
And whatever
Well, that's
Mr.
this
King is
one.
gonna do.
Right. And then the scope of work, her original application.
So where's the one for the 104,000, that grant, that's still here, that's still
It's right
good?
there.
This is it.
Right.
She's
She's gonna
gonna
give us a
give me
copy
the
of that.
application, or Chris is gonna.
I have it.
I don't have that application.
Okay,
I didn't-
you have that
I have it.
application.
Yeah, I didn't
You
put it
have
in.
the application for the food
I do,
truck,
actually.
And I'm sure Miss Dennis, Sandy Dennis probably would have the
Oh,
application
yeah.
as well.
Yes.
So if I can get them from her and save you the problem, I will try to do that. But if I can't get them from her, then I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
And that's just something for the board to understand. When a neighborhood groups or individual put them in, I don't have what they put in. So, but we
Right,
can't
but
get it
if
from
it's going through the
Right.
succession, these
They-
people
we
should
should-
have.
It's a
right,
matter
should
of
not be submitted
communicating
Exactly.
with everyone.
Until they
And that's what we're
said-
trying to do.
Yes, that's
So
what
we're gonna make sure CPA actually starts sending it, anything to do with parks and cemeteries,
Yeah.
starts sending that information directly to you.
That's- And we should have a
Can I
letter
make
of
a recommendation
recommendation.
to this board? Because what this board had done prior was, there was a deadline for CPC agreements to be submitted. What had happened was the board made an exclusive meeting for the presentation of any CPC agreements. They took up no other business in this Holly Bronhard day, because I do have these in conversation in the minutes stating people had talked about this, but there was never formal application submitted. So there is before the application is put together, people certainly want to know that their project is something that's going to be acceptable to this board. So basically, step one is to present the project to the board. Step two is to follow that up with the application that's going to CPC.
Right. And
And I
we,
think everyone would be more informed.
right,
If
and
we-
in 2015 or 2014, when we applied, we didn't even know
Right.
that it would go to you. We thought it
Right.
would go to the.
Just at the CPC board,
Correct.
yeah.
I
So,
agree,
in the
I agree.
future, moving forward,
Yeah, moving
we will
forward.
communicate more.
No harm done, but
Sure.
like you said, the job is.
Taking a while.
And if,
Only 4 years.
Yeah.
obviously, we don't have
Well, it
enough
took a
money
year just to get
to complete the plan as
Right, so.
written.
Then it took
So
another
it
year.
has to be discussed and prioritized.
Yes,
What's gonna be-
but the fact that CPC deadline is September 1st,
They don't set the account up sometimes.
so,
Right, but this is what I'm saying, if the CPC deadline, and this goes for everybody, if the CPC deadline is September 1st,
yeah.
these neighborhood groups don't come up with this idea on August 15th. They come up with this idea long before.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So when my quote is, when the light bulb goes on over your head that this is something that you might want to do, that's the time to present it to the board.
Right.
To see whether it's worth you investing your time
Yeah.
in putting together that application.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. So I guess my last question then would be about Martha Lyons' report. Do you have that?
I might have one in my office.
So maybe when
One
we
copy.
change
You can-
paperwork, we could,
You can review it, but I'm not gonna let it leave my office.
No.
we could make a
that was-
copy, possibly?
Well, it's about this thick.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was huge,
It's a very.
very comprehensive report.
It was a
But that
very-
was 6, 7 years ago?
More than that.
More than that, 10? I remember going to the meetings on
Yes,
that.
it's quite a bit ago.
And they-
Did Ray Dunst do something too? Didn't he do, I thought he did
Ray
something too.
Dennis did when they did the playground, he did all that architecture.
And it was at Olmsted Park, and I think she did I don't know, I'm not sure.
There were 7 stages.
7 stages
that
of
they-
fixing North
Because
Park.
it was to be used to submit for grant monies. And we did stage 1, which was the bottom of North Park on Main
Right,
Street.
yes,
And then stage 2 was under Mayor Bob Correa.
right.
We got the money to repair the
Stairs.
granite steps.
Yes.
And we had to turn it back.
Back, because he
we didn't
didn't-
have the matching funds.
Right. And that's where it ended, right?
That's where it is.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. So our next step would be to come back next month, is that correct?
You can just submit the paperwork to me, so I can include it in their agenda, so they'll be able to review it prior to you coming back.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. Can we take item
E.
E out of order, the YMCA?
Motion is made to take item E out of order.
Second.
Motion is made second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? I will jump to item E. Request from the YMCA flag football.
Thank you. Hi. So thank you for putting this on the agenda. My name is Stephanie Mancini. I'm the Executive Director at YMCA South Coast Fall River.
Joseph Weinhold, the Health and Wellness Director at also the Fall River YMCA.
So we are looking to add more programming to our selection. Right now, we currently offer very minimal. We offer swimming lessons. We offer some dance classes. The challenge that we have for outdoor programs, if you've been to 199 North Main Street, is we don't have really a patch of grass to do anything on. So wouldn't it be fabulous to have a flag football league that we do not, as far as we know, and we've talked to Nancy prior to this meeting, thank you, that the city is not running, and we would like to take on this challenge. The YMCA has been around, the YMCA in Fall River has been around for over 160 years, and we plan to be around for 160 more plus, right? So we would really like to offer this. Currently, we have about 3,300 individuals and families at our YMCA. We are growing. If you have been to the Y in a while, we took on a huge renovation 3 years ago, and we intend on growing. So with that is demand for more programs. Every year we raise money to give back to the community, so we don't turn anybody away at the Y. So there is financial aid available. So just to give you an example, in memberships alone, we give out anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 a month in scholarships. We're able to do that on a couple of reasons. We raise money through our annual campaign. So as we are a nonprofit, as the letter states. Do you guys have this letter? I'm sorry. Yes. Okay, thank you. So we are not making money from any of this. So nonprofit, we raise, this year our goal is $75,000 for our annual campaign goal. We are about 60% of the way there. But we do intend on giving financial aid if families or individuals need it for this program. We are looking, so our first choice was Britland Park, and we understand that that's in high demand. And Nancy basically just told me that's out of the question. So, so we figured we'd put it in there. Our second choice would be Travasso Field, located on Alden Street. We know that there's a challenge in parking there. However, for this case, this is a pilot program. We don't feel that that's going to be a major issue. And then our third choice would be the open space behind the Little League field at Kennedy Park. So really, again, we are just looking for something. Actually, now that I think about it, Kennedy Park might be a second choice, because I think it would be, it's right on South Main, so we'd be able to showcase it a little bit. We anticipate a minimum of 24 to 30 participants, as the letter states. Of course, we'd love to see more than that. But we had about 70 kids in our youth basketball league. That was our first league that we've had at the YMCA in a very long time. So we do intend on having more than 24 to 30 to start. So we're really excited. We've been talking about it at the branch, and we're really just hoping for your approval so we can pilot this. So, questions?
Anyone have any questions? Flag football, I'm pretty familiar with sports.
Okay.
You're not going to erect any field goal posts, anything like that. Are you going to mark the field with cones or?
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah. I mean, this is
doesn't cone.
Yeah.
Pick them up when you're done and.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not going to get into anything crazy this year. We'll see where it goes. But.
What's the age group?
5 to 14.
Obviously 14 is not going to put up the flag.
Right. We're going to have to separate it out. That's why I believe we said like 8 to 12, in the 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. so that we can separate the age groups out. So.
Is that once a week?
Yeah.
Yes. We're looking for Saturday mornings.
Anyone have any questions, concerns?
So it would be from 9/8 to 11/17?
Yeah, it may not be that long, but we put that out there for inclement weather situations. So, typically our leagues are 8 weeks.
So then, are we looking at Kennedy Park then? I mean, because you have 3 choices here, so where we?
Well, I mean, I was kind of hoping you would tell us,
I've
yeah.
seen them play
Do-
play football at Kennedy Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
I have
past,
too.
in the past, it's been
Yeah.
football.
I
I
would,
think Kennedy would be a good
Well, the
spot.
only thing is that's not the outfield of the
no,
major
right.
field, it's
Right.
the area behind the
Right.
Little League.
Yeah, where the feast would be a
Right,
month
exactly.
earlier.
Yeah, that would be great, really.
Commissioner Schuler?
My question is for Nancy, do we have the room?
Well, I don't schedule anything in those open areas, and as far as Travassos goes, you know, we have a horrible parking
Yes, the
situation
parking
over there, so
problem.
I have not permitted that out,
Probably
nor do I
better
think
off
that the
with
board
that.
should
Yeah, I
until the
think
parking
Kenny would be the best
situation
bet.
is
Awesome.
resolved.
Yeah.
That would be great.
As far as I know, I don't think you don't use cleats, so you're not using any cleats on the bottom of it. Just
We
in
won't.
case.
Yep, that's up to you.
If that's, you know.
That's up to your.
Cut the grass.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah.
give it Kennedy Park,
Yeah.
if it's available.
It's an open area, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we're gonna run into a problem with the parking, with Travasso Park, so if we give it Kennedy Park, there should be a problem.
We can make a motion.
I'll make a motion for Kennedy Park.
Kennedy Park.
Motion is made.
Great.
Second.
We just wanted to,
Permission for,
Kennedy.
Just cleats? Do we not want cleats on that field?
No, I
I
don't
would say
want
no,
Okay.
because it's
No cleats.
interfering.
Okay, yep, no problem.
motion is made, second, to grant permission.
You can use the rubber.
Rubber, yeah, no, I wouldn't use metal anyways, but yeah, okay.
Motion is made, second, to grant permission to the YMCA flag football to use the open area behind the Little League field at Kennedy Park. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
She's got a question.
I'm so sorry. I just have a quick question about bathrooms. There's no bathrooms over there. Do we need to, do a porta potty?
Depends on how many people you're gonna have.
Okay,
The
You don't
Little
need to
League,
if they're coming in intervals,
right,
Yeah.
but we don't wanna hear of any issues with people
okay, so,
behaving themselves. If there is, then we're gonna order you.
an example, the Little League uses, they rent a porta. potty.
okay. Is that something we would be responsible for, to pay for?
Yes.
Okay. And if we did, so would we have to have it delivered every week? Or would we be able to leave it there for said time?
The Little League leaves it there all year, it's actually chained to the fence.
That's what we did when I was in my
And
previous
I would
one.
suggest if you do that, and you do, the board orders you to use it, I would definitely put a padlock on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You never know what you might find in there.
Yeah, I definitely,
Yeah, because you know, you got these little kids and they're gonna wanna go to the bathroom.
yeah,
You're gonna be sending them over to the hospital to use the bathroom.
right. Okay, so we'll deal with that, but I just want to
But
make
if
sure
you're
that's.
gonna do it, get in touch with me, we'll come to a
Sure.
neutral location so that it's
Oh.
not like a porta potty on
Sounds good.
Main Street.
All right, very good, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Marcy said she needs a minute, so.
I have
You wanna take a-
some information.
I didn't make it up, I'm sorry.
Marcy, you wanna take a 5-minute recess?
Yeah, right.
And then the other thing you have here is.
Make a motion for 5-minute recess?
Motion made, seconded, 5-minute recess,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You, what, taking mine? Reconvene, the park board meeting,
We're gonna have a motion.
Yep.
Motion to reconvene?
motion made, reconvene.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is discussion of, Britland Park restrooms.
Why don't you take this book out of
Okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna make a motion to.
Take Kenneth
Yeah.
Burns first.
Make a
Because I
motion.
think
Yeah, I got you, because that's gonna be.
Motion is made to take,
Second,
which item are you talking about?
the basketball, the one after that.
Okay.
Kenneth Burns, back page.
Yep,
What number is it on there?
I don't think it's gonna be as long as the back.
because,
What number is it?
motion is made to take item F out of order. Is there a second?
Yeah,
Yes.
second, sorry,
All in
guys.
favor?
Aye.
Item F.
Good evening.
Hey, Mr. Burns, don't make this long.
No, it ain't,
You out of
believe me.
order.
I'll be the quickest thing you've had all night.
State your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Kenneth Burns, 125 Robertson Street, Fall River, Mass. I'm here to ask the board if, I'm part of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers Brigade, and we'd like to set up a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in Used Broncos Park. And all new to this, as far as this, I used to run all the softball stuff in Newport and Middletown, but never did basketball, so it's all new to me here.
What dates are you looking at?
You had the first and second, but what I'm looking for is the 7th and 8th, I mean, the 8th and 9th.
8th and 9th?
Right, because I didn't want to do Labor Day weekend.
So those dates have changed. Have you run this before? Never? Are you having someone else run it for you?
No,
Run it for
I'm doing it, I mean, other than the sport itself, I've done the events, you know. I mean, this is just a 3-on-3. I've already got the basketball officials donating their time and stuff, so.
It's changed the first and second to 8th and 9th.
Correct.
At what times?
They would start 10 in the morning until the evening, around 5 in the evening. And then Sunday would be the championship day.
Are you planning on selling any items?
We were going to do a concession stand type thing, yeah, possible.
Well, that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when you do something like that, other than like maybe water or whatever, that now involves health department, involves inspectors, involves all kinds of things like that, which tend to complicate this threefold.
So just a drink thing wouldn't be a problem.
I don't think a water thing would be an issue.
What kind of food were you talking about?
It was just hot
Potato
dogs.
chips?
Yeah, hot dogs and chips. We wouldn't do no fries or nothing like
I wouldn't do cooking.
Okay.
You wanna do chips or something like that to help your
Chips or candy or
cause.
something?
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Packaged
drinks wise, we
food.
can do with the Gatorade and water.
Right,
You
things
know.
like that,
Snack
right.
And stuff. So, all right, yeah.
I think that would be your safest bet, to keep this as low-key and as uncomplicated as it can be for you.
Can you sell pizza? Like
No.
you bought pizzas, you can't do that
No.
either?
And because once he does that, he's gotta go to
The health board,
the health department.
Yeah,
and all
and
that.
with
So,
God. Yeah.
my only concern is are you a 501c3? Like your organization a 501c3?
We're under the VFW.
Okay. If you don't have it like a 990 that you file, it's been the board's practice to have you just submit what we call a cherry sheet of your expenses and receipts so that they can see that, you know, the money's
Exactly,
actually going
right.
to where
Exactly.
you're saying. So other than that, I mean, that's entirely up to the board at this point.
Does anyone have any questions?
So you could have candy bars, potato chips, stuff like that, just no cooked food.
Yeah, anything is packaged, bag of chips, or, you know, like you said, candy bar, Gatorade. When you start involving cooking, like
Even
Nancy
pizza,
said, you
some
gotta involve the Board of Health.
You need a food handlers to sell
You
pizza.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even for,
It requires
even for our
regulation.
bike run, we had to do it.
Yeah.
What's, what the times, what was the times on
Time
10
is
to
10 to
5.
5. And the tournament you said on a Sunday?
Sundays?
That's right. End of it, be on Sunday, right?
So both days 10 to 5.
Correct.
So does anyone have any questions? Any concerns?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is made to approve, second. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Thank
You
you very
can,
much.
Okay.
you can work out all the details.
Yeah.
I will.
Mr. Smith.
Yep.
Okay, next item on the agenda,
Good luck, thank you.
My friend.
Whitland Park, that's
See you
what.
soon.
Anybody here?
Anybody
They're
here
all
from
three
Whitland
here,
Park?
so
Britland
so you
Park.
can get in touch with me. Okay, so just so the board knows, I have asked all three organizations that utilize the Britland Park bathrooms to attend this meeting. We have the gentleman from the Fall Youth Soccer, we have the gentleman that uses it on Thursday nights, and we have the gentleman from the Men's League. I've asked them to come for two reasons. One, to discuss the bathrooms, and two, to discuss the scheduling regarding BCC and Durfee using the field, because there are nights where these games from BCC or Durfee are starting at 3:30. Thursday nights, the permit starts at 4:30, so we're gonna have to work out with these people whether Durfee and BCC have to come in early, or on those particular nights, we're gonna ask these organizations to start later. That's something this board has to do.
Which
So
organization sent that email?
that would be for youth soccer.
Do you want to talk about the schedule first, or?
So my two, to talk about the scheduling first, I have 2 Saturday dates. Brian, did we ever come up with whether those
We don't have
dates?
confirmation yet until our season actually starts or actually, have games scheduled.
So you don't have games scheduled as of right now?
No.
Well, then the board can make it that don't schedule games after a certain time. That's something that they can do.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Or, because at that point, I mean, I'm not gonna get.
Was that going to interfere with our permitted times?
Your time starts at 5, and on those 2 dates, they are looking to play during the day, so it would be
Yeah,
before
so
5.
Right, so that's,
So that's why I said, is there an issue where maybe they could stop earlier, or you guys could stop, or you guys could end by noon that day so that they could come on at 2 or 3? That was what my email had said.
Saturday's going to be tough.
Well, we gotta work it out, so we have to figure out how we're gonna do this.
So those are the 2 dates. I have them here, but, so those are the 2 Saturday dates that are a question that the board's gonna have to.
And which date was that, Nancy?
The 15th.
The 15th?
Oh, 15th, okay, yep. And the 6th?
September 15th and October 6th.
Okay, I see that.
They said they would be able to start. My email said, schedule list the games at 3:30. Is there a way on those particular dates in order to accommodate them getting on the field before that? I know one date involves 2 games, I think, and one date is 1.
I think they should come down to the table to talk about this.
You're talking about BCC or Durfee?
BCC.
On Saturday.
Can they come down? Can you come down so we can talk about this? That way you're not up there and whoever's involved?
Sure, if one representative wants to come down.
Yeah, that way there we're on, we all have to look that way, we know where we're looking at.
Okay,
Thank you.
so if BCC comes on at 3 o'clock during the afternoon games, they should, keyword should be off by 5, but there's no guarantee, because the games are supposed to be 3:30. So, on the days that Fall Youth Soccer is supposed to be starting at 5, I don't want it to be becoming, and I want to talk about this now so that it's not, BCC didn't get off the field, we have the permit, because it's not going to be.
Which weekdays are we talking about as far as the 5 o'clock?
I'm going to give everybody this schedule, because I put it on a calendar and kind of figured it out. It's a lot of weekdays. It's varied. It's in the agenda.
I mean, if it's going to run into an additional 15, 20 minutes, I mean,
don't know. I can't determine that. So what I did was I gave the board, there are dates that affect Mondays, which is for youth soccer, correct?
Right.
Monday and Friday. So Monday is September 10th, September 17th, Tuesdays, September 18th, September 25th, Fridays, September 7th. The men's league starts at 6, so I don't think a 3:30 game is going to affect a 6 o'clock game. But because you guys start at 5, a 3 or a 3:30 game may affect a 5 o'clock game.
Right. It won't be as big a deal earlier in the week, but on Fridays we have our games scheduled for our recreational league. So,
Well, I can see if they start at 3, is the soccer game over by 5?
should be.
Well, I'm just asking a question here.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So, but they're looking to start at 3:30, and there are gonna be times where the teams.
3:30 is not gonna cut it. 3 o'clock could be perfect.
Last year when Diamond did it, it was at 3 o'clock, because I coached them, so we would get on, and I would just be in time for me to start coaching the 5 o'clock before we would
Now,
start.
3 o'clock's plenty of time.
What I'm
You got
saying is, if a
15
team
minute
is
gap.
coming from Falmouth, they may not be able to make a 3 o'clock stop. And I am not gonna get into this at the last minute where I'm getting arguments that, so this one's saying he has a permit, but I wanna settle this before. So I can give the schedule and ask them to start at 3. On the days that they can't start at 3, this is our city's high school. I think we're gonna have to make an exception
Absolutely.
Yeah.
to this.
If a team's coming from Falmouth, it's gonna take longer to get down here.
Right.
There's no way that they're gonna be able to start at 3 o'clock.
Well,
Or 3.
I can ask.
Depends
They
on
usually leave school early if you
Yeah.
have it for
Yeah,
school.
I do a charter for Falmouth and all those other stuff. You really
Yeah,
don't,
you never know.
you've got to, you leave at 2:30.
Okay, so again, the 4:30, the Thursday day is a 4:30 day, and there are
That's
1, 2,
Kind of close.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, all of September, and I mean, 20, 27, 4, 11, 20, 27 of September, 4, 11, and 25 of October. Those are 3:30 games. There's no way that 4:30 is gonna be done. So even if 3 o'clock is gonna be tough at 4. But if they start at 3, they may be done at 4:45. But I can give you guys these dates that are gonna affect your schedules.
I don't have an issue.
No, because you start at 6. So Wednesday is not gonna have an issue.
How about Thursday? Because Thursday.
He's Thursday.
That's not us.
4:30. So
You're all right with Thursday then?
You're starting at 5:30 now?
So you're 6 o'clock.
If they want
Oh,
to
I
come
thought you
in,
started at 4:30.
we start at 5, but now we'll bump it up to 5:30.
Okay, why don't you
Are
come
you the
down
other
and
league?
you
Come
come
down
down?
over here.
Yeah.
You the other
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
If you're willingly, please come down here so we know who we're talking
Yeah.
to.
John Hilario.
And just state your names, everyone state your names, please.
I'm Brian Ferrer, President of Fall River Youth Soccer.
Thank you.
John Hilario
Thank you.
with the men's league.
Steve Montega, Norisa Soccer Club.
I have an option. If they want to switch their days to Wednesday,
They can't.
well,
Their schedule
I would
is pretty.
volunteer and give up my time.
Right. Their schedules for the high school and for the colleges, I think are pretty well set in stone. And that's why I'm asking you guys that have this for, I mean, this is 2 months, and that's why I'm asking you guys that have this for a period of time and to kind of see what we can do to help them to accomplish this goal. And if it's a half hour or an hour or whatever, I think we just gotta roll with it. And I just want it to be aware so that when the social media or whatever
Yeah.
that this
We
board
get
looks at,
attacked.
I don't
Yeah.
bother with it, but I don't want it to become a problem. I want everybody to know what we're heading
I mean,
into.
For Norisa, we're fine with that.
So for no reason, on those days, you'll start at 5:30 or
Yeah.
whenever they're done.
We're gonna have to.
I'm gonna, exactly.
We're at Durfee 4 or 5 days a week. We're paying $300 every 2 hours. Brillen Park's, we're grateful for that. It's an opportunity to go at Brillen Park for free. So it is what it is.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay with that?
Yes.
The only thing is we don't use the lights at Brillen Park. We try to avoid lights because we only use Brillen Park 2 hours a week, versus Florida Youth Soccer uses it a lot more. And I think Portuguese League only
We
uses
just
men's
use
league only.
Sunday mornings and Saturday
So
at 6.
we're using it 2 hours a week. I don't want to be like getting involved with lights and then sharing bills when I only use it for 2 hours versus for youth soccer using it much on a daily basis.
All right, so we'll see if the games get moved till 3 o'clock, it's gonna alleviate a lot of this situation.
Yes.
On the days that they can't move the games to 3 o'clock, unfortunately.
You're gonna have issue at least a
you
half
guys
hour
gotta
in
be
between.
bumped back. Is that what I'm getting from
Right.
this board?
Exactly. Yep.
Well, can you put that in the form of a motion?
Sure.
Before we do that, I just want to make a statement. Dean, I'm involved with 3 different high school sports as an official. When Nancy says the schedules are pretty much set in stone, they are. I'm not too familiar with BCC. But as far as game times, the athletic directors can get together from Durfee and whoever they're playing and move the game. I think a half an hour back or even 15 minutes. You know, as far as like the team traveling, they leave school 15 minutes early to get here. You know, this board has always been very cooperative with the school department in the past. And I think our backs are kind of against the wall right now with the situation with the new construction of the school. I wish in the past the school department has been more cooperative with us when we set leagues to use school department facilities. But hey, whatever happens, happens. And I understand that you guys, you know, have to pay a fee over there. I just don't think it's right. I think city entities like that should be able to get along a little better and more cooperation. BCC, I don't understand why they need to use Whitman Park.
BCC has used it for 2 years, and they pay to use
And I
the
still,
bathrooms.
but I still don't understand why when they
Well,
have
then that's
plenty
up to
of,
the board.
plenty of land over there that they can build a field, I guess. But that's not my decision, so.
I think they're gonna look into that.
I'm not against what we're talking about here. I'm just making a point. If you leagues are willing to cooperate and push a game back if you have to, 15 minutes, a half an hour, that would alleviate a big problem between everybody. And like Nancy said, she's doing her due diligence to get this done now before there's an issue. So I will support it, you know, if it comes to a vote. But I think that this board has always been cooperative with other departments in the city, and sometimes we're not given that same consideration back. Anybody have anything else to say?
If the schools if the directors can communicate with each other, but they also have to talk to transportation too, because if they're coming out of
Well, I think a lot of times they use the same bus to transport one kid, and that bus comes back around and takes the team to wherever it's going. So they're not taking 10 buses.
Yeah,
The buses are.
The bus companies are contracted with the schools to provide transportation.
I got a game against Falmouth. I coach at the high school at Case, and I'm leaving that day we leave at 2:15. Usually leave school at 2:20. The principal lets us leave at 5 minutes earlier, so we get there on time. Game starts at 3:30.
So, I mean, as far as transportation, that's between the school and the transportation company. They have contracts. If you're hiring a bus company to say, we need you to transport the team on this particular day, here's the time, then they should be doing it. You know, if they
A lot of times they don't want the kids to get out of school.
Well, I understand that, and I've been involved with high school sports for 35 years, and I coached high school sports too, and like the gentleman said, the schools make arrangements to get the kids out early if they have to. I mean, I coached, we had travel games, we left at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because we were going to the Cape or whatever. That's up to the school, that has nothing to do with the sport. But, you know, so if we have to push a game back, time-wise, that's up to the school to make their arrangements. You know, and they can do it. It's been done in the past. So I believe that, you know, working with the 3 leagues, working with the 2 schools, that a flexible time, 20 minutes here or there, is not going to make that big of a difference to anybody. So let's.
Well, I'm going to send them to you.
Okay. Well, go
okay.
ahead.
I was gonna make a
So
motion.
here's my question. I'm gonna ask both of the schools to move the games back to 3 p.m. if possible to do so. I still have Saturday the 15th and October 6th, which are 2 Saturdays. Which unfortunately, Brian, that's your time slot. So again, what are your games normally scheduled? Because you start at 8, right? So 8, 10, 12. So 12 to 2, would you be able to do, so if you go till.
But after that starts travel. We have our rec and then we have our travel program in the afternoon.
I understand, but let's just take, for example, it were to rain on that day or it's inclement weather on that day, you would have to reschedule that travel game to another point in
That is
your
correct.
schedule. So that's what I'm saying about this Saturday. If we say, okay, you guys use the field from 8 to 2 p.m. and then have them come on after 2 p.m., you're basically losing maybe 1 game.
2 games, probably 2 games. Excuse me.
We don't have a game on the 6th in the morning. That's the holiday weekend, right?
Which date is that?
October 6th?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a holiday weekend, so they could do the morning that week.
Well, I don't know if they can do the morning, but I'll let them know that the morning.
So you don't have a game scheduled?
We don't have our
We don't have a
recs.
game for rec scheduled that week because we're
So what time would the travel?
it's just travel.
Travel would start after noon, 1 o'clock. So they could have all morning if
So
they
could
wanted.
play in
All morning.
Yeah, if they're willing to move that game to, you know.
So October 6th morning and then September 15th. So you're saying 8 to 12 would be available on October 6th?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then September 15th.
No.
What time are they looking for on the 15th?
Well, it says their game is
3:30.
scheduled for 3:30. So that's one game, basically.
Right.
So
So I think, I'm sure we can deal with that.
if I tell them to stay 3:30, not book it earlier, to
Mhm.
stay at 3:30.
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Well,
you'll-
only because this way you lose, if anything, it's one game.
Yeah.
or-
If you could just send that to me in an email, Nancy.
I did send it to you in the email. This is an email.
Oh, that was the one you sent to Ron that you
Oh,
sent to
maybe.
me? Yeah.
That
Oh,
he
okay.
forwarded to you.
Okay.
That's that.
So on the 6th, you're willing to move your games up so they can...
Well, we don't have any games in the morning, that's what we're
We don't have
saying.
any in the morning,
I
so
know.
I'm gonna
That's
see
a-
if
Play in
they
the
can play in the
afternoon.
morning.
Yes.
So you're saying they can move those games up in the morning?
No, we're saying they can have the morning.
They can have them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I...
8 to 12.
That's what I wrote down, okay.
Yes.
No, they're not, no.
No, that's why we took care of that.
No, I already did this
Yeah,
step
she already
together.
did this,
That's
yeah.
how I got to this.
Right.
That's if they're agreeable to do that, they, Jeff.
Yeah, if they agree to it. Well, I mean, like I said, everybody's gotta be flexible.
Right.
We have one field, and we have 5 different entities that wanna use one field all at the same time. If there's no flexibility, then this board will make the decision on who's gonna use it, when, and how. And, you know, somebody's gonna be left out in the cold.
Nancy, could you share the emails of everyone involved in this so maybe we can communicate amongst ourselves when that time's...
I'm gonna share this calendar.
Okay.
That I put. I'm gonna just scan it, and I'm gonna give you Durfee's schedule, and I'm gonna give you BCC's schedule. But my point is, too many cooks spoil the broth,
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't
you guys
agree
all
with that.
know what's going on,
Yeah.
and when anything hits the fan, I'm the only guy that don't know who's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So when the bathrooms are broken, or they're dirty, or whatever, I don't know who is there. I don't like that. And I don't think that this board wants to do that. We
And
need
these
to know
schedules come
this
from the
time,
board.
this time, this time. We're only talking about a couple of dates, 2 dates, and moving things a half an hour. I don't wanna get 10 leagues involved in that, because it's just gonna get too messy.
Well, my point being, so we offered the morning on that particular day. Are you going to get back to me and let me know whether they can do
Absolutely.
that? So that's all I'm asking. I need confirmation
No,
of...
I like to keep my emails in a thread. Some people don't keep the emails in a thread. So this email that I sent you, or Ron, and I'm gonna forward, that Ron forwarded to you.
Which should be going to me, yes.
I understand, but you were not available, and he was the contact at the time, and we have since brought that back around.
Mhm.
So, I needed to contact someone from the league, and I was told you were not available.
At that particular time, yes.
Exactly. And from this is 2 days afterwards, it went from him to you.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're not going with the first option of everybody working together, and if they run a little late, then we all can't work it out that way.
That's still an option.
Okay, because to me, that's a lot easier
Sure.
than getting everybody involved, and then it's not gonna make Nancy's job any easier, and she already worked very hard to get this all together. So, I personally feel that if you can all work together, if somebody runs a little over or whatever, if you could all work it out.
Last month, I was told by this board, get BCC.
Right, we did. You're right.
And Durfee on
You're
the
right.
schedule.
You're
And
right.
we're gonna worry about the people that
That's
have a
correct.
season permit after the fact.
That's
Because
right.
we need to accommodate these schools.
That's right.
So what I did was I accommodated BCC, and I met with the director, both athletic directors,
Yeah,
and we
you're
worked
right.
out that schedule. And all we are doing is inconveniencing leagues that have season permits
Right.
for half hours, 2 months of the
Right.
season, okay, and 2 regular days.
And that's what I
So-
make a motion for.
And you've done a
Because-
good job, Nancy.
She did a good job with
I'll
this.
second that motion.
Before we go on to the motion, we didn't settle on the 15th yet.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Team's all set.
The 15th and the 6th,
He
everything's all
said,
set.
put him in at 3:30.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanna make sure I got that. All right, motion been made and seconded to accept the schedule as Nancy completed and have, contact the schools.
And I will let Fall River Youth Soccer know whether they are available, these people can play on the October 6th morning, and then it won't affect you at all.
This way here, if you have to go a few minutes here or there, at least this is what we have.
They seem agreeable to it.
Yeah, so why don't we're gonna go with it.
Okay, motion been made, seconded.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Okay, next is the elephant in the room.
What's
Bathroom.
next in the bathroom?
Okay,
That's,
But we're gonna talk about this.
Alright, so item D was update, regarding request from BCC and Durfee soccer teams. I guess
That's that.
we did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Down to G, request from Liberty Utilities regarding, proposed dog park improvements.
Where are you going?
Go to the bathrooms.
We want the balance.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I put a check mark there. Okay, discussion of the bathrooms at Britland Park. You got anything to say?
Nancy, what was the problem with the bathrooms?
Okay, so here's how this worked out too, because we know we all had the discussion of the bathrooms last month. With all that was said with this board and the 2 weeks, given 2 weeks before we changed locks or whatever, I reached out to the person, it wasn't Mr. Ferrera, because at the time I was told he was unavailable. And I asked that person to let me know whether or not because there was some conversation that Fall River Youth Soccer didn't want any use of the bathrooms. They were going to get porta potties. And before I went through the effort of changing locks and getting back keys, if people did not want to use the bathroom, I reached out to them to try to make this situation smoothed over a little bit better. So I didn't have a telephone number for the particular person. I only had an email address. So I said, can you please call me? So this person is Ron Ferrera, I believe he's the second
Furtado. Second vice president.
Okay. So I reached out to him because that was the other contact I was given. So, and I also reached out to him, those emails were July 18th, and on July 19th I sent him the email about the use of the Saturday dates. So during that time frame, that was the person who was my contact, Ron Furtado. And I said to him, I know you have a board meeting, you said you have a board meeting, please ask your board what the situation is on the bathrooms. Are they planning to get porta potties, or are they not planning to get porta potties? And that was on the 19th. So on the 23rd, I received an email from Brian stating that their board had voted that they would like them to remain in possession of the keys for the bathroom. The bathroom will only be used on an as-needed basis, with the coach or parent unlocking and locking after each use. The last person who closes it at night will be responsible for the conditions of the bathroom. We'll take photos to say what conditions the bathroom was left in. If it doesn't work and you're still receiving complaints, then we would agree to turn the keys and come up with an alternative plan. And then he reminded me that he was my point of contact, so.
Just to make it clear, we've also revised that. We'll only be doing that during games, not even practices. We're not even gonna open them for practices. Just during games, just as an as-needed basis. No more just leaving them open for the general public to walk in.
Yeah, but let me make this clear, because and when these keys were handed out, this is what was said. Do not leave these bathrooms unattended, because I know what happens to unattended bathrooms. And I said, assign a person to get the key, assign a person to stay in the bathroom. And we were told, we're not sitting people in the bathroom, we're not doing this. So I had no choice but to forward this information to the board, because I get complaints. This guy left the bathroom the other day, it was a Tuesday, the ladies' room door was left open. I'm not gonna be back and forth with all this. So at this point, it's up for this board to decide what they wanna do with those bathrooms. All I'm gonna say is I am not gonna be a referee between 3 leagues that can't handle a key to the bathroom.
Okay, so it seems like this has been going on for quite some time, on and off, on and off. Everybody gets mad at each other, and I just think that enough's enough, and it's time that, maybe you make other arrangements. That way nobody will.
Just get the porta johns.
Porta johns, yeah. Maybe it's better off that way. That way no one's.
That's what this board voted the last time.
Exactly, and that's what we stated.
But I'm not gonna go there.
We voted last time that we were going to ask for the keys to get back, to put the keys back, and to just make other arrangements, porta johns or what have you. I feel very strongly for the same thing, because it just seems like it's taken on a head of its own. And if I'm not mistaken, is this the only area too that has the bathrooms? Everybody else, what do? They have porta johns, like we talked about.
Baseball leagues have porta johns.
Right, yeah. So it
How
may
many
be.
keys out there for them bathrooms, Nancy?
each coach, each league has one, as far as I know.
We have 4.
They have one and they have one.
Okay, so why
There's
would,
6 keys out there.
so we need the 6 keys back and make arrangements for your,
Okay.
this way here, there's no more problems, we just move it forward and everybody can hopefully be
It's just
happy.
sad that people complain about something that's usable, you know what I mean? It's access to the public, for people to use it, and everybody ruins it because everybody's complaining about each other, you know what I mean? Exactly.
It is sad.
It is sad,
It
you
is
know?
sad that it comes to this, but it's just that,
It's available for the people to use,
I think that's how it should be. There isn't, we've tried everything else, and we still.
I'm not gonna
still
go
getting
further about
bombarded.
complaining about it, because I've done my share, I'm sure you guys done your share.
We've all cleaned the bathroom
There's no need to
multiple
be
times.
complaining about each other, that's just sad, you know?
Yeah, and we're sorry.
I know.
So we
But-
just,
So unfortunately, that's what we did, made a motion last time to get the keys and
Just for the bathrooms.
right?
Because
Right, the bathroom, you need a key.
The
We're
thing
gonna
is-
be able to access the back room,
the thing is, the key for the bathroom is the same key for the back room.
which we need to access, where we keep our equipment.
Well, the
Well,
board
change-
told me to change the lock, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna, so the point of it is, those keys can come back. Although you're gonna use the 4 keys to access your room.
The back room.
So.
If you're gonna change the keys in the bathroom, then it's
At this point, if they're not gonna
change the
allow
locks.
leagues to use the bathroom, is to change the
Locks.
locks
Change the
on
locks.
the bathrooms, that's
Yeah,
it.
okay.
So
I'll
that's
make a
something that this
motion.
board needs to
I'll make a
decide.
motion
There's
to
no
change
other
the lock.
solution.
There isn't. It's just every time, there's always
All
a,
right, make the motion.
I made a
Motion
motion.
been made, change the locks
Change
on
the
the
locks.
bathroom and
Second.
change the lock.
The second right there.
Second? Any further discussion?
It's the second.
Jeff,
Any further discussion? Victor?
no.
I saw you,
Okay.
yeah,
I have a question, is-
Aye.
so we do have authorization to put porta johns there if we want to,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
does he have to?
Is there a certain particular area you have to put them in?
Well, I would put
I
them
know.
in the area of the bathrooms, toward the back there.
I mean, we can put them in the back of the bathrooms, which is
I
not,
would put them attached to something, because they will tip them
They
over.
have to chain them to the fence,
Yeah.
like I
lock them.
I'm saying where the back room is, we can chain them up to the fence, unless, well, that belongs to the police station, I don't know if they're gonna allow us to do that.
What, that fence?
Chain it up to the,
The tennis court fence belongs to.
oh yeah, you can do that, but I didn't wanna leave them near the basketball courts.
If you have any
If
questions.
you had to do it.
Just notify
All right, that's
Nancy,
fine.
and then we can.
We can work it out.
I mean,
Mo-
the point of where they go, my recommendation is to attach them to something almost to the point where they're wedged. And again, like we said to the other people, lock them.
Yep.
And whether
Right.
the leagues want to split the fee or someone that, I have no idea, that's between you guys.
Yeah, it's between them, that's fine.
Again.
Unfortunately, it has to come to that, but there's no other
It is,
solution.
it's sad.
Motion on the table, been seconded, to change the locks on the bathroom and grant permission for the leagues to work out getting a porta john for Whitland Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
So,
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
We're good? All right, thank you. Have a good night.
You too, thank you.
Request for the use of, that's what I did that one. Request for legal utilities, proposed dog park improvements.
Anybody here?
no.
There's a letter.
I think that, I think what they're looking to do, and I can have them give a little bit more information, but it's basically they're volunteering, they wanted to put some pads, to put a little bit more seating for the benches, like to put I said I would be able to give them a couple of benches. They want to resod some of the areas where
Yeah,
the
some of the
dogs
spots, because I,
run.
yeah, they,
I
it's all
think
good.
Liberty Utilities does a lot of this kind of volunteer work.
Mhm.
I can have them give you, I think it's attached behind it, actually, their letter. And it explains more of what they're looking to do. The city's gonna provide 2 benches, our volunteers will excavate the concrete pad.
If approved, when are they gonna start this?
It said we would like to do the work during the month of September, the letter says.
Next month.
As long as they check with you when they do it.
They're usually pretty good, because they do Pine Street, they do, volunteer work for the veterans.
As long as they check with Nancy, that's all.
Yeah, I would agree if you worked out.
Motion to approve,
Motion made to approve the grant permission. Seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Discussion of CPC projects.
Well, that's regarding, we had the contracts, is that, can we talk about that now?
Can talk about anything. that
Okay,
has to
so
do
the
with
CPC,
contract.
yeah, can you just,
You want these?
yeah,
I put that woman's paperwork in there.
so there's CPC contracts here, I guess that was signed, and their agreements, I believe, and I guess Jeff, you signed these here, but I'd like to make a motion that anything that's signed an agreement or a contract should be signed in here. And the board should know about it, because then, yeah. And that way there we know about it, because we don't know about these things.
Or
So,
in Nancy's office.
I'm sorry?
Or it could be signed in Nancy's office.
Well,
Well, if they're signed in my office, I'm gonna put them as part of your agenda package.
Okay.
they have
alright,
to be
so-
part of the agenda package,
I got
okay?
you. Okay.
That way we know what's going on, instead of people signing agreements and things, and then we don't know what's going on. So,
Well, most of the time, then we're liable.
that's right. Then we're all,
You could copy it just for them too. No, that's
It's
just
only
my
one.
copy.
It's your copy.
This is my copy of it. Are you saying you didn't sign them? We're in bigger trouble.
You didn't sign them?
My signature's not on it.
oh,
Yes, there's 4 signed by Holly
and there's,
Bronhard.
yeah, and there's one from you.
And there's, I think, 8 signed by, or 6 signed by Jeff. I'm not really sure how many of them.
Yeah, I gotta go through all these, but this is just an example.
I wanna see them, so I know.
This is how they run it.
Yeah, that, I gave you the wrong one,
Let me
oh
see,
my God.
Marcy.
Okay, here, you, this is yours.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one
Yeah, that's signed by Holly.
Yeah, but that was the other one, that's,
There's 4 signed by
that's
Holly.
Jeff's, right? Yeah,
Just one here, right?
yeah, she's got more, wait a minute.
That's just
please.
an example.
That was an example of things not coming before the board.
These are 4 signed by Holly. These are all the rest. There's 2 here that I have had agreements
Jeff was
to
got back on Charlie Brown with Jeff.
the spot.
Jeff, yeah.
Just 2 more.
Yeah.
Jeff didn't sign it.
No, right here, he's got them. There's more.
There's Pulaski Park Splash Pad.
She wants to read them out. Here's all these.
It's all mine here. Yeah. There's another one.
Oh, here's another one.
So, on November 4th of 2015, the Park Board agenda says CPA proposed projects. And in that, it states a few of the proposed projects that were entertained, that I can track back. Alan Amaral came and presented Columbus CPA projects. No, that's the list that Sandy gave me. And then I have Melanie Lee and the St. Anne's Neighborhood Association.
The chairs, this is the
Prepare,
park bencher.
No, not park benches, that was the pool. So now, in the minutes of the November 4th meeting, it says Chairperson Bronhard informed the board of some of the park cemetery projects approved by the CPA to receive funding in the last round as follows. So, just for the record, she served on the CPA, Holly Bronhard at the time served on the CPA like Victor is served.
Okay.
So when these projects go before the CPA and they have to do with the parks, then Victor would be the one to bring these things back to the board. As a secondary precaution, like, have you heard of these? Because if they weren't presented, now we know. They've already made it to the CPC.
That's good to know.
So, when they get to him, when they get to the CPC, they should already be something that
Right.
Victor is familiar with and has heard before, because they should have come through him.
Exactly.
Now, moving forward, can we make
So
sure?
this should have came before the board, before it went to the CPC.
Right, and some of them did. I have a letter that the board gave to, and I looked this stuff all up, it's been, I have a letter that we gave to John Sylvia regarding the board supporting his application for the splash pad. I have a letter to Mr. Lima regarding his shoreline improvements, one that was sent there. And I also have something to Melanie Lee regarding the, even the bench proposal. But in that letter, it states that you can, it says, please be advised, the board agreed to support your application. However, the board will make the final determination as to the style of bench. Because if you recall, that was the big controversy over what kind of bench was used. So we allowed her to go forward with it, but with the board stating that they were gonna determine the bench.
Okay,
So from going forward, I think both the CPC and the park board are looking to put on
Yeah.
more safeguards,
Yeah.
so to speak, so everybody knows what's going on.
Okay.
So I don't think there's much that we can do about these that are here, besides work with the people like the ones that came before us tonight. But I think going forward, they have to come.
I always thought in the past that when we needed something signed, they came here, we signed it here, 3 or 4 of us signed here.
And that's what it should be.
Yeah, I usually don't have a majority of the board. Occasionally, a chairman can sign, but this board can change that if they want more than one signature.
Well, we signed here in the past with 3 or 4 signatures of contract.
Right. These are
And what was
agreements.
this that you signed?
They're an agreement, but
They're agreements.
they can still be binding. Agreements
Right,
are
but
binding.
what the board can say is that anything needs to be signed at these meetings.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
Because
We're all on
I'll
the
be
same
honest with
page.
you, you're gonna have a CDA agreement coming down before you that usually just has the chair sign it. However, if it's put in an agenda package for a signature, unless it's a dire emergency, and even then, if it comes through me to be signed, I will make a copy of it and include it in the agenda, and that safeguards everybody.
Yeah, just bring it here and we'll sign it here, the chair can sign it right there.
Or,
I agree.
I mean, even if the chair signs it, it needs to be signed. I think it should be in the office or here, so that it can be made a copy and we can include it in the package, like we've done most of the time in the past. I mean, these CPC agreements, I don't know where these even came from, because I didn't even know they existed.
So why don't we have them signed here so we can know, and then I'll make
Put
a
that in the form of a
motion.
motion.
Yeah, that they sign here and at least get,
Anything that
Two
needs
s-
to be signed by this park board should be done right here.
exactly,
Absolutely.
whether it's an agreement or
Anything.
anything.
Contracts.
Contract.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made, seconded, have everything signed here, not at the office.
Yes.
Okay, any
Yeah.
further discussion?
Okay.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Huh? This one is here, okay.
Should I have all my agreements back?
I didn't sign that.
I'll agree to that.
You didn't sign them?
No, I didn't sign that.
Oh,
That Holly?
That one's like 4 years old.
So, find it out about it.
Discussion-
Very copies. Last time I lost them.
Commissioner inquiries.
well, we need discussion of policy and governing appointments.
Oh,
Yeah.
Discussion of, governing board appointment, term limits and other matters.
So I was looking into seeing about our policy book, because the board should have a policy for us, okay? Term limits, et cetera. I've noticed, after doing some research, they do have, some boards that are usually 5 years, and there's a lot to it. You need to have a policy book, so we were going to talk about, the term limits and, other things that should be in the policy book that we have to go. Like, example, if we miss so many meetings, or if, like just what we did here would go in a policy book of the signatures, it needs to be signed here, that would be in a policy book, because we don't have one, and we should have a policy book for us, for the board, you know, moving forward. So, that's what I wanted to talk about, what everybody doesn't know.
Yeah, just like getting reappointed, that's all.
But,
I know we have,
I'm sorry,
I know we have one.
I don't know.
But we never had one.
So we need to have one.
I agree.
So we have discussed a few, and one of the things was the term limits. Basically, it's 5 years from Mass General Code. I gave out
But you
that.
can get
remember?
reappointed again in 5 years. You
That's
get
right.
reappointed again.
So I think that we should go with the 5 years and make a motion for
Isn't it
that.
now, 2 years now?
No, we don't have it.
Some boards have no term, have no limits.
Yeah,
But-
limits it.
But by Mass
Yeah,
General
'cause nobody
law,
wants this because nobody gets a siphon to do this. So.
by Mass General law, it does state that the proper grade is 5, you know, so you're already aware of it. I gave the,
Ready?
it's 5.
But you can be reappointed.
You can be reappointed, that's correct. So I just wanted to throw that out there, if anybody wants to make a motion for that, so we can be, the board could be on the same wavelength of Mass General law.
I'll make a motion that we,
I'll second it.
Okay?
Make a move.
And then what I'll do is, I'll take the task to see what else that's out there, so we have, you
So
know,
what's the motion?
motion is
to stay in guidelines with Mass General law.
5-year term?
5-year term.
provided,
5-year term?
Yeah.
limits?
5 years.
5 year term limits.
Yes.
Motion made, have 5-year term limits. Is there a second?
Second.
That's from this day on, right?
It's gonna have to be.
Yeah,
We didn't have it in our book.
Yeah. We'll start up today.
Motion made, seconded.
We have to make sure it states that he can be reappointed.
Well, that goes without saying, after your term's up, that's it.
Motion, as I understand it, is 5-year term limits in line with Mass State General Law.
Yes.
Mass State General Law says you can't be reappointed after 5 years.
Effective today's date.
Effective today, if it passes, and it's been
It's our
seconded.
policy. It would be our policy.
And it'd be a policy of this board. And along the same lines, I think if we're gonna make policies like that in line with state law, then we should have a subcommittee to review that, the information that Margie has, get, and then present a package to the board.
I did give you the package, you weren't here, so,
All right.
yeah, you weren't here.
Unfortunately,
Yeah. Oh, I'm
I
just
had
saying.
pressing items. Motion been made?
So the motion's been made, yeah?
Yep.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
I got one question.
So is there something I'm gonna copy or?
I gave you that, remember that? I gave everybody last week, the 2 papers and then.
Oh, no, that's just city ordinance.
Oh, for
That's
you,
the city
yes,
ordinance
if you
books
will-
that she gave last week.
And I gave the Mass General.
Oh,
And this here.
right there, that's what you gave, right?
This, no, but there's another one too. There was another booklet, another page. This is, this. Is this what you want? No, this is the meeting I went to.
No, that paper right there that you have.
This is
That-
the ordinance.
Oh, no, I didn't get that. That's what everybody got last time. That right there, I think.
Well, that's this.
Oh, that's the front
Yeah,
pages?
yeah, I just got it turned
So it's
over.
just the ordinance book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and, yeah, Nancy's already got it, and everybody got it last week, I'll get you one. And this, but this is, I gotta make another copy because I gave them all out.
That's mine.
Yeah, so, I'll get you a copy, okay? Yeah, because this is Victor's, I can't get Victor's out. But you can have this one. Okay? This will get you set up for that. All right, and now Nancy.
That's just a copy of the ordinance
Yeah.
pages that pertain to the board.
Right.
That's what Marge gave out last.
Yeah.
I got one question on
And
the
then-
citizen
Should
waters.
have got it last month.
Yep.
For Nancy. Whatever happened to that project that Jason was doing with the removing of the graffiti in the cemetery?
That's,
Maybe Mr.
Yeah.
Brown knows.
Whatever happened to that?
So, I believe he removed the graffiti from Hargraves, the big tomb.
The Hargraves tomb.
The Hargraves tomb. But he has also offered his services to clean
That
this
project that he started is totally done now? All the graffiti's removed?
from Hargraves. As far as I know, there might be new graffiti on there again, but his original project was completed. But he has also offered his services, and we're going to try to meet with him and come before you all about doing restoration of the Soldiers Monument, which is when you come in the main gates right to the right near the Turner Mausoleum. He's offered to use excess, the chemicals that he uses to clean headstones through private contract, excess that he has to clean that for the city. So that would probably have to come before you all for approval, as well as historic preservation, I believe, as well. But
I was just curious about that.
low to minimal cost. He would do the monument, the obelisk with the cannons around it.
Yeah.
At no cost. We would just have to rent him a lift or allow him to use a city lift, because you can't put ladders up against it, which is something that we could absorb within the cemetery budget. But then he'd also look at providing an at-cost cleaning of the headstones as well that are there. So I think it would really look nice if that was something that, you know, the board approved and we were able to get done.
I have a question.
The only question I have, I gotta get home.
So I was wondering about the tree list.
Yes.
I was supposed to get it, I've been asking since June, still haven't gotten the tree list.
Okay.
John Perry said he was gonna give it to us the next day, he never got it back the next day.
Okay.
So, no fault of yours, can I get the tree list?
I will email that to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
No problem.
And, in the future, we're gonna be talking to you because that's how it should be. But anyway, the other thing is, I noticed that, the Narrows trees have been cut. So, when did they get cut? Do you know when they got cut?
After the board meeting here, I went down with Chris Martin, who's the tree supervisor, to take a look at those, and they were already trimmed. I don't know who trimmed them or
They already trimmed?
when that was done, correct?
Okay. And we don't know who did them?
I have no idea.
Is there a log that says that they did it?
That who did it. It wasn't the tree department. John Perry hasn't said anything about his group doing it
Well, I'd
either.
like to know,
Yeah,
I think the
absolutely.
board has the right to know who cut those trees down
Certainly,
and when they were. So if I could, we could get something in writing.
absolutely.
I don't think it would take long, so as long as we
Not at
can
all.
get it within a couple of days to say who cut it, and that would be helpful.
No problem at all. I will look into that tomorrow morning as well.
All right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I just find it amazing how they were there and then they got cut and nobody knows.
Yeah, when we went down there, they were trimmed back. Those trees look very healthy too. The sidewalk looks like it's in decent shape too.
Except for the grading in there.
Right. I'm not a sidewalk guy, but I think it could be fixed with those trees in place if it's not to the
So wait a
satisfaction
minute though,
of.
it came before the board
Right.
and then they were already cut.
Correct.
So they were already cut
Right.
without even our approval.
They were trimmed. The trees are still in place.
Right,
They were
but,
trimmed.
but they were trimmed
Correct.
and didn't even go before the board. See, that's what I mean, everything should come before the board, this board here. We have a chairman sitting here, we have board members, this is what we do, okay.
So they was cut the next day?
I don't know when they were cut.
They could have been cut before.
You went the next day?
Either the next day or the day
No,
after
but I'm
that.
saying you went there the
I
next
went
day
very
because-
quick. I'm pretty sure it was the next day. I could be wrong. It might have been the day after that, but it was
So-
within the week of that.
Right, so in other
That
words,
meeting.
they brought it to us, it was already cut, and then we approved.
So do we need to take those trees out? Are you saying that it would help? You think you said that?
After speaking with
He said that.
my team, I think those trees should stay.
Well, let's get a report on it.
But
Well, it's just that the board, just because the board made the motion, put them on the tree list. So before you go down there tomorrow and they're gone,
We're
you
gonna
might
have all
want to
these,
see what you want to do there, but
I don't know, what do you think?
So just a
maybe Chris.
clarifying question. If we're trimming trees back in the city, you want me to come before the board for approval before we do that, or?
Well, it wasn't even that. What the point was, they came before us to do something with the trees, and
Right.
evidently they were already done.
Right.
So,
No, I think we should, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what she's saying, she doesn't care that if you need to trim trees,
Yeah.
but when
Okay.
something comes before the board, and are we trimming them or are we cutting them? And then evidently they've already trimmed,
They've
it's like,
already
why
cut
is it coming now if you already made the
Right.
decision? Someone made the decision to cut,
Right.
trim them or whatever. I think that's
the point.
what she's getting at.
Like, in other words, you're coming to us, they're saying, okay, we gotta cut trees and do this, and come to find out, they're already done. No, that's just not how it should happen. It should come here. We have a board. We have a governing body. We oversee parks and cemeteries, and I think that we get lost. So,
I agree.
I have a question. Who's in charge of the brush cutting machine?
Brush cutter is DCM.
Oh, that's not you.
Chris, I think that,
The trees at the green on Highland Avenue, is that on the list? She's been
Green
trying,
and
they've been trying to
Highland
get those trees cut, because I'll tell you right now,
is it near the,
What,
is it near
the monument, right near the monument, on the corner of,
yeah, no.
Highland and
Winter
President?
They went there and cut they cut those branches off.
I don't think so.
I think they did, because I think.
well, it's nice and organized now. You'll be able to see it.
I think they did.
so what is the address? It's Highland and Prospect?
It's the Highland and Winter.
Francis Green.
Francis?
Green. Highland and, just down from Prospect, the one down. It's not the little theater one, it's the other one, but I thought.
Yes, it is near the little theater.
It is
It's
the
the
little
one-
theater?
Yeah, it's a little.
The one
Okay.
right next to the little
Yep,
theater.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think he trimmed some of them already.
Not back in. We're looking at it the other night, just sitting on the porch. Trees are dead.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, the branches, you can see they're dead.
She
Right across
was.
the street from Little Theater?
Yes, right across from the little theater. Yeah.
We'll take a look at it.
Thank you. I'll send it to you. You'll have it.
On the meeting to adjourn?
Does anyone have anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
He can't make.
Thank you for coming to the, park board
He
meeting.
can't make a motion to adjourn. Who made the motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make a
I
motion
didn't
to
make it.
adjourn.
I asked for a motion.
I know, but she said second and that was it, so.
I'll make it.
Motion to.
I'll make a motion to,
I'll
yes.
second it. Rigo. Okay.
Second.
Oh, 30.
And